Okay, I think you are now live. Excellent. So that's good. And that means that I should be able to find your details. So, hello. You will be getting people chats scrolling up on the screen there.
Right, so just for anybody who's going, what? We've had to switch the hardware that we're using, which is why I look a bit different and why you're basically going to have to put up with me on screen all the way through this. And the reason for this is because Apple has updated, upgraded, downgraded the security features in the latest version of iOS. And the end result of this is that lots of software no longer works because they didn't think to check before they rolled it out. And that means that the computer that we normally use that's over there will not connect to OBS. So at the moment, Zoe is trying to find where the actual chat has gone so that I can read it, and I will have to read it off the screen that's over there.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys.
But essentially, the reason we're starting a little bit early at the moment is simply because...
Do you need power to plug in, by the way?
It's probably as well to plug in, just in case, because it will chew through power at some point and probably give me no use whatsoever. But essentially, hopefully next week they may have rolled out a fix, but any of you who's got an iPhone or an iMac probably already knows just what a fistful of poo Apple's upgrading has been.
That is the chat, so we're getting there. We are getting there, guys.
So is that my actual chat there?
That's your chat. That's the...
Turn it to all chat. And let's have a look. Right, hopefully this is the actual comment. So we've got Otis JB, hi to you. Sean Millard, hi to you. Mark Herbert, hello. Les Cliff, hello again. Hope the stream goes well. Thank you very much. I've been out doing some filming with Les earlier on today. So that was at Hatton's, but in conjunction with GMRC. They may even have got their trailer up by now, but obviously you're going to have to wait until Friday for a spoiler-free thing on their live stream that we've pre-recorded, and Saturday they will be doing a full warts and all let's talk about what's just happened on the program, because actually Dave and I think Dave and Jack were definitely at the filming. You may see them when the episode goes out flitting around in the audience, and that's because they were there as guests of myself. But what else have we got? Sean Millard, how is your Volvo? Volvo's fine, actually. We road tripped it over to Hatton's today.
Yeah, and hardly anything fell off.
Yeah, there's the thing about when you've got a really old car that's nearly 25 years old, every journey that is completed without breaking down is a bonus. But, you know, every noise you're like, what's that? What's that? What's that noise? What's falling off? Feels to me like it's down on power, but I could be paranoid. And I think it needs a new fuel filter. It's about 180,000 miles overdue for a new fuel filter. So yeah, I think it needs a new one. So that may be all wrapped up with that. But Richie War Department 1915. Evening to you. Barnabas Junction. Good evening, Jenny and Zoe. Oh, the cupboard monkey.
I am not a cupboard monkey. You're the cupboard monkey. You live in a cupboard.
Whatever.
You love cupboards.
No, I don't.
You're the editor and sole subscriber of Cupboards Monthly.
Well, that's funny because you are the editor and sole subscriber of Bums Weekly. So, but you can tell that we get on really well because, like, you know, we just like take the rip out of each other. Whoa! You've probably seen the change in light. She's just made chat full screen.
Yes, for two reasons. One, it gives you the nice monitor glow that everyone's used to because that's what's always on the screen when you're on. And two,
it stops me from checking anything online.
Well, yeah. You've got to remember that you are on Wi-Fi, so the less bandwidth you use, the better, because it'll go out better.
Oh, yeah, right. I can't even check if we're online. Basically, I have to rely on comments coming in because...
I can see that you're
There's
online.
no network activity down here. Right, Flying Scott. Hey up! New Mills Model Railway. Good evening, Jenny. Ooh, new angle. Don't do that.
You are online.
That's annoying. It's like, if any of you have done, stop it. You and your blooming,
Bye-bye.
yeah, go on, cupboard monkey.
Bye,
Go and get me
guys.
something to drink. Yeah, bye. See you. Hop it. If any of you have ever done like live news reports with people like ITN, BBC, Sky News, then one of the things you have to watch out for is that used to be done at BBC Oxford Road for the BBC. Used to go down there, sit on Gordon Burns's desk, because that's where the TARDIS was. And it was like this big remote controlled operated camera and monitors and stuff that was controlled from London. But there was like a 2-second delay. And the trick was not to look at the monitor of yourself with that delay, because you became a gibbering buffoon if you were looking at yourself talking but at like a 1 or 2 second delay. It was the kiss of death to any interview. I got warned about this, so I studiously never looked at the outgoing monitor whenever I was saying anything. Brockwell Lane, good evening to you. Barnabas Junction, is that a clue to the final winners? No clues, no spoilers. You know, you already know, because both semi-finals have gone up. They're out, they're public domain, so you now know which 4 teams are through to the final. Now that'll be shown on Saturday, and I think it's like 5:40. We're slowly getting earlier and earlier. I don't know why. Don't ask me, because I know not why. But then you will see Team Grantham, Rail Riders, Railmen of Kent, and Who's Counting Rivets. They are the foursome that is up in the final. You've already seen what each of those teams can produce. Really good quality models, and despite what the judges say, all of them are absolutely astounding models so far that we've seen. Every single one, even the people who went out in the heats, the quality of all of those layouts. I've not seen a duff layout yet at all in all of that. It's been really, really good quality. But let's have a look. So no clues about who the final winner is. All I'll say is one of those 4. Today's beverage of choice is brought to you by Strongbow Dark Fruits, and I do quite like this stuff actually. It's cider, but it's not cider, because go on, get lost, cupboard monkey. Oh, sorry. Oh dear. So now you see the different angle. You see all of Zoe's certificates here, and well, there's some law degree stuff. What is that? Actually, no, that's a diploma in English law. No, I think that she's also got a degree in law and a something else in law as well. I can never remember which. 3 different law qualifications, which is why she's eminently qualified to give advice on matters of a legal nature. Not legal advice, because I believe you have to be either like a solicitor or a barrister to give legal advice, but she is legally qualified.
I'd like to clarify, because I was still here when she was talking, I have not passed the bar. I did not take the barrister qualification or the solicitor qualification, because I went into politics instead.
Yes.
So when she's saying I'm qualified to give legal advice, no.
But the advice you give is pretty grounded in fact, the legal facts.
Yeah, I'll give opinions, and I'll tell you what the law is like to be, but I will not give you legal advice.
Zoe does give opinions. You find that out if you live
around. I have opinions, and I will share them.
Yeah. Now let's go to the internet, because I'm sure somebody on the internet's got an opinion. Trevor Sowerby, good evening, Jenny and Zoe. Hey, it's the Monday Club. Time to chill out, relax, and enjoy. Oh yes, the Jenny Monday Club is all about shooting the breeze, talking about all things model railways and stuff. And there's a lot to talk about, actually. I did an interview at Hatton's with Dave. There's loads of Daves at Hatton's, but it's the Dave that's in charge of new model development. And one of the things that I really wanted to talk about ever since they were announced, really quite excited by this, and I think this is the sleeper announcement of the year. You know, the D class, really, really great. I was there at the National Railway Museum for the launch of that model, but actually Project Genesis, as Hattons are calling it, which is the 4-wheel and 6-wheel, slightly generic, but still really good models, covering a range of different railway companies, from pre-grouping, big 4, BR era, NCB, so industrials covered, departmental, ticks all of the boxes to actually give us something to run with all these really lovely, beautiful pre-grouping locomotives that's been coming through. And I think we're going to put out that interview tomorrow, because obviously we've got now about 3 or 4 videos in the can from today's visit to Hatton's. So I think that's the one that's going out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And it's quite enlightening. I try to ask questions about specifics of those models, which aren't necessarily out there but aren't necessarily embargoed, but it's really interesting, so I do advise you to watch that. It's pretty good. But I think that, yeah, the 4 and 6 wheel pre-grouping coaches are gonna be really well received. I've certainly, I think I've up to nearly £1,000 worth of things that I want to pre-order, so it could get expensive. Although Dave at Hatton's did assure me that they won't all turn up on exactly the same day. We're scrolling off the top now. Brian Moser, need to send you some nameplate review. Certainly, yeah, I would be really up for that. There's quite a few manufacturers actually that I do reviews of their products that they send me, and so big thank you to all of those people. And really, you know, I couldn't keep up the red hot maximum bottom kicking pace of reviews that I've been able to do in recent months if it wasn't for the generous supplies of models and other such stuff from a variety of different retailers, manufacturers. And you know, I'm really grateful that they've seen in me somebody who can get the message out, but also be critical where criticalness needs be. You know, people say, oh, you know, you've sold out to the establishment, you're getting freebies. It's not like that. You know, you don't necessarily get things that it's like, oh, I'll have one of them, that'll be nice. But, you know, and some of the companies do ask for the stuff back. They are just review copies. But it's really, for me, I think it's very important to get word out there of products that are out there, to review them, and get a good range of different things. So, you know, working with Hornby, working with Hatton's, working with Rails of Sheffield, getting a load of Acura scale stuff through, PD models, and I'm going to get a nasty email or something in the chat room. Somebody else, there's another one, I don't know, Hardy's models, something like that. So yeah, really up for doing that. So best way to get in touch to get a product reviewed is get in contact with me through Facebook Messenger, through my actual Zoe calls it a fan page, but that sounds a bit egotistical, narcissistic to call it a fan page. But there's a Jennifer Kirk page, and if you message me through that, then the Cupboard Monkey will get hold of that and sort something out and give details of where to send it. So yeah, certainly very happy to do that. Flymo Chairman 1, hello Jenny and Zoe. All the Volvos not quite Keystone cops yet. Did they have Volvos? I'm not sure. Lil Goth +1 for the Sonic shirt. Yeah, Zoe is a big fan of Sonic. I'm just, yeah, we tried to look. Oh, sorry, I'm leaning close because I'm actually looking at something that's behind the monitor. But I can't actually reach the Sonics. They're kind of tucked away behind the monitor. But there's plenty of. Yeah, that's a good one. Gods on Mega Drive. Oh, with a manual as well. She'll come running in a moment. No, you're not authorized to put fingerprints on those. So believe me, there is some kind of Sonic game going on over there as well. But yeah, games are definitely Zoe's area. But yeah, Sonic. I remember playing that as a kid on a friend's Mega Drive. Richie War Department 1915. How are you? I'm pretty good, thank you. Ron Stanbridge, hi Jenny. Ron Fancop Miniature Marvels, good luck on Saturday. Thank you very much. Were you? Oh no, you said you weren't at the final, so you'd actually. Oh, it's just jumped. You wouldn't know the outcome. I do know the outcome, but obviously keeping stum, you'll have to watch on Saturday. All I can say is that the standard of models is getting better and better because you have to. Because at each round you've got to up your game because you know everybody else's as well. And I think for the final, all 4 of the teams really pushed the boat out and tried to deliver something really special. And, you know, all 4 builds did get done. So you're going to have to watch on Saturday. But, you know, I know from being there, the quality of all of those models was really good. Leslie Gilpin, Nathan Mara. Not which area is that? Nathan Mara. Is that Irish? Patrick Lane, good evening to you. Flymo Chairman 1, you're online. I hope so, otherwise I'm just talking to nobody. Ron Stanbridge, 1725. Oh God, have they changed the time again? I thought it was 1740. 1725. So yeah, all I can say is check your copy of the Radio Times or other TV listings magazines are available, just to ensure that you are there at the right time and that you don't miss out. Because miss out. What am I on? Oh yeah, that's right. Strongbow dark fruits. Let's have a look. Otis JB, you better win, Jenny. Ooh, what? All the boys will come round with the baseball bats. You haven't got a few quid riding on me, have you? Leslie Gilpin, the trailer of the final has a lovely close-up of you. See, I don't like the way I look. I look at myself and go, ooh. Same with like, I don't like the sound of my own voice. Before you say anything, it doesn't mean I want to shut up in a corner. But when you hear a recording played back, and I hate watching myself on television as well. There's a few close-ups. I've seen some screen grabs, and screen grabs are a bit like photographs of politicians. They always manage to catch you at that one moment where you're like doing the really stupid face. James Petts, good evening to you. Nick West, hi from Spain. Where is Cupboard Monkey? Oh, you missed the Cupboard Monkey, it has to be said. I'm sure she'll be back at some point. Brockwell Lane, I have noticed the presenters showing genuine interest in the models this series. That did not come across in Series 1 as much. I think that's because the quality of the imagination of some of the models has really, really gone out there, and that's captured a lot of people's imaginations, not just the presenters, but the public at large. It's been very successful, this series. And an awful lot of people who aren't necessarily into modelling have actually shown an interest. It's much the same way, you can watch Great British Bake Off and not be interested in making cakes, but you can really get into it. I used to watch Scrap Heap Challenge, and I'd never dream of making those things. Oh, Robot Wars! Although actually, me and a friend really did like the idea of entering that. Stuart Muir, evening Jenny, I've got my sticky paws on the Western Pullman train pack on. What a lovely model it is, highly recommended. Yeah, it's expensive, but it is good. I did have a look at that, actually at Forley Hill. LMS fan 13065, excited for the final, Jenny. Oh yeah, it is one not to miss. Nick West, okay, cause I'm well behind in the comments already. James Petts, yes, the pre-grouping non-bogey stock, excellent and very interesting stuff. I know that there's a minority of people who have been moaning that they're not an exact model of some obscure model that they wanted, but actually what happens, understand, to be commercially viable, you've got to appeal to a lot more people. And most people's models are fictitious in some way. They're not like rivet perfect. Even the rivet counters don't generally have the space to perfectly recreate the model. So there's always going to be compromises. And I think commercially this is the best and most sensible way to go, because 99% of people really won't get het up about them not being a specific example. And the problem was, back in the pre-grouping days, a lot of coaches were kind of bespoke. The coach workshops would just kind of make one or two at a time, and then there was no hard and fast set of drawings they'd worked with. They just kind of made them up as they went along. Barnabas Junction, David Myers. Right, yes, sorry. They're all called David there, apart from Jack. Brockwell Lane, love the Genesis project. Good prices too. Actually, yeah, in this day and age, they are quite reasonable prices. And for a rake of 4 with all different running numbers and a mix across the different designs for 110, that's not too bad going in this day and age. Berry120, hi to you. Scottish Train Spotter, good evening to you. Linnet12DD, hey to you. Derek Grant, hi. Aiden0206, hi Jenny, how is everyone? I'm pretty good. I think it's always good to be here on the Monday Club, having fun. Oh, Gamehammer Classic Gaming, apparently you're not a cupboard monkey. We know better. Raymond Richter, hi to you. James Petts, what kind of cupboard creature are you in that case? Cupboard cat. I think she's certainly a closet gamer. Actually, no, she's out of the closet on that one. James Petts, shame, a cupboard cat would be a delight. It'd probably be on the top shelf of the airing cupboard in amongst all the fluffy towels, making a nest. Michael's AFOL, good morning from Australia. Gosh, I presume it's quite early in Oz where you are, because it's probably about, what, 4 or 5 in the morning, something like that. Brian Moss, I've been looking at your My Loco videos to see which I need to send. Been looking at your My Loco. Oh, right. No worries, no worries. And as I said before, if you've got a product to, don't just send me free gifts and stuff, but a genuine commercial product that you want it reviewing, you want an honest review, get in touch through the Facebook page, and I'm always happy to do that. I am aware that Intercity 82, is it? He kind of got overwhelmed by people sending stuff for review. So I am mindful at the moment that, it's manageable at the moment, but if I start getting too much stuff, I might have to rein in and be a little bit more selective. But at the moment, yeah, more than happy to review products. Mark Wilson, all right, my ducks. Sorry, good evening. Good evening, my duck and monkey. Derek Grant, Zoe, a beer assistant. Mark Rice, hi Jen, how did you get on with the cheap DCC chips? Have they behaved themselves? Yes, they have, but there's a caveat on this. After I filmed that video, I found out from a few different sources that Lace DCC chips are possibly clones of, I believe it's TCS, not a company I've come across, but nonetheless, basically, some people, not necessarily connected people, it's not like one vocal group of people all shouting about this, but it would suggest that there may be an issue with somebody not paying royalties for using, they basically didn't pay the R&D. So at the moment, whilst I've still got those 3 chips, and they're absolutely flawless. For myself, I'm not passing judgment. I'm not going to go all vegan on people, but I've chosen not to buy any more because until it can be sorted, I think morally, from my point of view, and I'm quite a moral person, I wouldn't feel comfortable buying a product which may be pirated, as it were. Now, it may turn out that it's not pirated, in which case I'm sure it'll get sorted out in the courts. But at the moment, whilst there's no faults with those chips, running absolutely fine, I'm just going to put that out there, what I've learned since. Ron Stanbridge, hi Jenny. Yes, I do know the winner. Yeah, I think everybody who's involved got to find out, and I think through the grapevine it kind of leaks out. So if you do know, do keep it to yourself. Don't spoil it for other people. Alex Faxley, hi to you. Robin Price, I think it's amazing how you build a decent model railway in 3 days. Well done. Well, thank you very much. And actually, what's even more amazing is it's not 3 days. It's 2 and a little bit days, because you get like 10 hours on the first day, 10 hours on the second day, and then usually only about 2 or 3 hours on the third for fettling time. If you're not finished by the end of the second day, you're in trouble. But then add to that, you kept getting interrupted. So, you'd be trying to saw wood or drill holes or hammer something. And they say, oh, can you be quiet? We're trying to film over it. We're doing an interview. So you'd get interrupted a lot. And the film crew would be like, oh, can we see that on film? We need to film that. We need to film that. So you did get slowed down a little bit. So which, what it actually showed is that with a little bit of confidence and a deadline, it is actually possible to do a lot in quite a short length of time. Colin Wykes, good evening Jenny and Zoe, liking the angle, can see a bit more of you. This angle may yet be temporary, it's just as I said at the beginning of the stream, because there's been an issue with the new iOS update for Apple Macs that has absolutely trashed the ability of a lot of different software, including OBS, which is the software that we normally use, to actually work properly. So that's why we've had to resolve to the emergency backup camera. Brockwell Lane, does anyone do pre-grouping brake vans? Yes, at the moment, Bachmann have a Midland Railway brake van on the market. It's been on the market for a while. Hornby have announced a London and South Western brake van to a very high standard, and that is forthcoming. There is an SECR dance hall brake van, which is an old model from Hornby. I personally wouldn't go for that, but it may be your bag. GWR, I think that at least one of the Oxford rail wagons may be applicable to the pre-grouping period. Who else? Somebody's going to point out, I know that DJ Models through Kernow Model Centre also announced a different diagram of London and South Western Railway brake van. Not sure what's happening with those, but yes, they are out there, and a little birdie tells me, and this is strictly off the record, i.e. I will not tell you what it is or who is making it, but I do know in the pipeline out there there are other pre-grouping brake vans sort of in the pipeline, but you know, you're going to have to wait for that announcement for what it is and who it's from. Brian Mosser, I'm away at a show all weekend, so we'll have to watch it once I'm home late Sunday. I know with in the modelling season, or the model exhibition season, it's really difficult sometimes to catch up, but you can catch up on My 5. But what I would urge is so that you don't end up with any spoilers. If you can watch it live, do watch it live on Channel 5. And also because that helps with the statistics as well for the ratings. Apparently people watching it live counts more than people watching on catch-up. Alex Faxley, Train Glamour Puss, haha, bringing some glam to the model railway contest. Oh, thank you very much. I didn't feel very glam when I was covered in glue, when it was very hot in there as well, so quite sweaty. Tony Britton, evening Jenny, sorry I'm late, but we'll catch the opening 15 minutes later. Yeah, don't worry about that. The entire video does go up online as a complete video and persists, so anything that you've missed you can watch. You can re-watch any bits as well that you want to, so don't worry about it. Jennifer Cady, trains rule. They do rule, actually, yeah. Otis JB, Brockwell Lane, Hornby are doing London South Western Railway brake vans. They look very tempting. They do, actually. Again, that's something that I am looking forward to getting. I do have, I think, 2 London and South Western Railway liveried locomotives. I've got the Hornby M7 in that livery, and also the Daypole B4 in London and South Western Railway pea green. So the locomotives are out there, and it's a welcome addition that these vans are on their way. Scottish Train Spotter, good evening to you. Oh, it's just jumped. Oh. Chris Howes, evening to you. Otis JB, I know the Great Northern Railway, North British Railway and North Eastern Railway had an agreement to share all their coaches at one point. I didn't know that. I know that there were a lot of shared usage deals going on. Oh, what's the name? Like joint lines, and the Somerset and Dorset joint line, I think that was where, was it the Midland Railway provided the locos? I can't remember which other company provided the stock. It may have been the London and South Western Railway. Or was it the Great Western? I'm not sure. Ben Davis, hi Jennifer, thanks for the live stream. You're totally welcome. Thank you for watching. Great to have all of your company, and I'm always very humbled that you've chosen your Monday night to come and join me on the Jenny Monday Club on the live stream. It's a really good format, the live stream, because I can deal with immediate questions like this, and it's a much greater depth of intimacy of answering questions and stuff which you can't really get with an ordinary video. The Don Juan, good evening modelers from Bolton upon Dearne near Barnsley. Oh, I was over there actually. It's a company called Freshpack. I visit there from time to time, which is near Barnsley. Is it Bolton upon Dearne? Certainly, yeah, with the Dearne Valley Parkway, you sort of go down that and you get to it that way. It's just off one of the roundabouts. Tony Britton, quick question. Just wondering if any manufacturer has ever made a model of the GWR only Pacifica. It's called the Great Bear. Yeah, Great Bear. I'm not aware of a ready-to-run model, but could be wrong. I'm sure somebody will mention in the comments. Ben Davis, do you watch the Hattons live stream? It's on a Friday, and I'm normally away from home working on a Friday, so I'm not able to watch it live, and I occasionally just flick through to catch up. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. The today's beverage of choice, Strongbow Dark Fruits, is a little bit gassy. Luckily, as I always say, better that end than the other. Otis JB, I really enjoyed your video about your Lost layout. It looked really good, especially for a first attempt. Thank you very much. It was Zoe's idea, actually. She kept seeing these odd photographs knocking about on our archive of various bits and pieces. It goes way, way back. It goes back to about 1999 for stuff of mine. And we, never knowingly deleted anything of potential value. And that included an awful lot of photographs that I took of my very first proper railway modelling attempt. Obviously, before that, I'd Hornby 00. But this was the first time I ever actually tried proper model making. And I have to say, quite honestly and openly, I fell into every single pitfall that you can fall into, including baseboards that were a little bit more than a sheet of MDF, not very well braced. So the problem with MDF is it's very heavy, but very prone to warping. So I had problems with that. The electrics were almost non-existent. The quality of the track laying was poor. So those three coupled together meant that it was a nightmare to run, not really practical, and because I hadn't planned it very well, it just wasn't a good layout. And I think I just got so excited about the prospect of trying out scenery techniques that I'd read so much about, or had ideas on, that I just jumped in, and I learned a lot of lessons from that. And actually, a lot of stuff got recycled off it. A lot of the materials didn't go to waste, so it wasn't like I lost out a lot of money on that, but it was a very swift learning curve on the do's and don'ts of making stuff. And I didn't have any mentors. My father wasn't a modeler in that respect, and I didn't know anybody else who was a railway modeler. You're talking like back when the internet was like a curiosity more than anything else. So I kind of made things up as I went along, and a lot of the techniques I just kind of made educated guesses and experimented. So I'm really, really honoured that you thought it was a good layout. The truth was that it may have looked okay, but it was not a good layout at all for operating. There's no video footage whatsoever of it at all. Simply these photographs, and a lot of those photographs, I think as I explained in the voiceover to that video, were taken with an old Fujifilm DX10 camera with an 8 megabyte smart media memory card, and it's real state-of-the-art stuff back when digital cameras were newfangled. So the quality of the pictures isn't quite there. But it's interesting to share with everybody kind of what came before Grove Street Yard. Ian Ryan, good evening to you. Ian White, hello. Don Cragen, hi Jenny, good morning from San Jose. Good morning to you. Jennifer Cady, loved the Martian layout. Well, thank you very much. War of the Worlds was a great layout, but there were other Martian layouts in the series. I think the Muddle and Go Nowhere people made actually what was quite an interesting set on Mars layout, because they got through to the other semi-final on the wild card. But unfortunately didn't make it through. But let's have a look. Secret Cole, how are you? I'm very fine, thank you. Digger Evans, hey up Jenny, how are you? I'm pretty good, thanks. Mark Wilson, how big is the production crew in numbers approximately? Production crew for what? Great Model Railway Challenge. I guess there was probably about 30 crew on location at any one time. I'm not sure. Didn't really count them. You kind of get really focused on the model making. Ben Davis, you did an amazing job on the Great Model Railway Challenge. Thanks very much. Secret Cole, who is Zoe? She's my partner, and she's like all very technologically minded. So she does the editing and a lot of the filming work. So if you wonder who's holding the camera, it's generally Zoe. Ham Shackleton, good evening to you. Great to have you aboard. Oh, there we are. Oh, it's just jumped. You have been busy on the comments. Egg and Chips Man. I think the DJH made a kit. Great Bear. Yeah, I think there were kits out there, but not a ready-to-run job. Ian Ryan, am I watching the correct stream of an issue from last year? Just asking, as the calendar behind you is from last year. Oh no, it's just Zoe doesn't even empty the bin very often, so I can hear her creeping around outside listening in. I knew it.
To ask you if you need another drink.
No, I'm good for now. They're pint-sized cans.
Yes.
They're asking about your calendar.
I kept the calendar because it's full of really nice
It's actually
screenshots from
produced
old games.
by a friend of yours, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
Chinny
produced by
Vision.
there's a retro gaming channel on YouTube called Chinny Vision. He does amazing comparisons between the various different formats that are around for various games, and that's got full of screenshots in. So we kept it.
Yeah, she does that.
So yeah.
I've got a Taschenbuch calendar somewhere downstairs, and it's from something like 2011, and I kept that because the pictures were nice.
And right, so you don't need a drink.
I'm good for thanks.
Okay, well, hammer on the floor like you normally do when you need something.
Okay, yeah, will do. Bye-bye. Philip Page, good evening, Jenny and all. Who went to East Lancs Railway this weekend? I didn't, actually. This weekend, been quite busy. What was I doing? Oh, I did a lot of filming, so I've done a couple of weeks' worth of filming of progress on Weir Yard. So I'm actually a couple of weeks ahead of you. You'll see one come up this Friday, and then I've also filmed the Friday after, and then I've done a lot of modelling as well. So there will also be enough material done and in the bag, as it were, to film another update video. Secret Cole, hi to you. Jennifer Cady, what do you think? Helgen turntables. Hornby is a noisy, clunking item. The Hornby one's more a bit of a toy-like thing. I've not got any experience with the Helgen one, but I've not heard anything bad about them. I use the Pico turntable, which is kind of a plastic kit, but can be motorised using something like Meccano. And I believe that they've just released a clip-on motorisation kit. So you kind of plug the motor direct to the bottom and it will turn it, and you just, I presume, have two wires coming off it to a switch or something. Excuse me. So the Pico one I'm actually more than happy with. I believe there's also an Airfix plastic kit, but that's quite basic. But generally the only one I've had major experience with is the Pico one, and I've obviously seen the Hornby one out and about. Ben Davis, how did Dave you do the Hatton's live stream? It's not going to be on the live stream this week, it's going to be more to Thursday. We did a pre-recorded insert, so they will put that out during their live stream, I guess. New Mills Model Railway, Model BR 1950s, 60s, and try and restrict myself to buying models from that era, but with this new SECRD class coming, I might have to make a few exceptions. They are bringing it out in BR Black. In fact, there's two versions of the BR Black. They're doing the BR Early Crest, but then also they're doing in plain black, but with British Railway spelt out in the Southern Railway Sunshine lettering style font. So it's very much at that sort of nationalisation 1948 period. So you've got a choice of two. If you want to go for a D class and still keep it within that 1950s, 1960s, you could always claim it's part of a locomotive exchange trial or something. I don't, you find an excuse, or just go all in and get that pretty SECR livery. There is a preserved example, so feasibly you could argue that if you got the preserved one from the National Railway Museum in that SECR livery, you could argue it's X works because it's just been tarted up to go into the Clapham Transport Museum. See, I've been justifying weird models for a long time. Ham Shackleton, apparently I've just frozen. Are we still good? Secret Call, evening to you. Alex Faxley, Strongbow for the win. Well, no, this is today's beverage of choice is brought to you by Strongbow Dark Fruits. It refreshes the areas that other can-based alcoholic materials do not reach. It's actually really refreshing. Secret Cole, are you out of the Great Model Railway Challenge? No, I'm through to the final, actually. Team Rail Riders is there in the final, but you're going to have to watch this Saturday at 5:25, I believe I've been told, to find out who wins. Digger Evans, yep, Monday evening is Reek Grand for Lancastrians. Hey up, Siverby Bargum. Oh no, that's Yorkshire, innit? Ham Shackleton, had to restart Tube, but you're going again now. Yeah, we're having to use slightly different software today because there's been an issue with the iOS update just completely trashing the software on Zoe's Mac. I believe it's trashed everybody's software out there. And it's not just OBS. I think Photoshop and QuickTime as well. Apple, well, QuickTime's an Apple product, and it still doesn't work properly. Patrick Furlong, hi to you. Alex Farley, I work as a project manager in heavy engineering. If you don't mind me asking, what's your day job that funds model trains? I am a writer, but then I also work in transport and logistics for a few days a week for Asda Distribution. So yeah, there we go. Where? Oh, I've just lost my place. Blimmin' heck, you've all been busy. Crikey, yeah. I'm gonna have to knuckle down and get through these comments because I'm well behind. Ian Ryan, what is the criteria for not pre-built items on the show? It looked like not counting. Oh, who's counting rivers? I had a few items that seem to be not built there. Just remember, there's a lot of stuff actually cut out in the editing simply through time. So just because you didn't see it getting built doesn't mean that it wasn't built on the show. There's a lot of stuff I know from our build that just they didn't show anything of the building process, and it's purely a time thing. So in the semi-final and the final, there was no pre-builds. Let's have a look. Richie, War Department 1915. Hi Jen and everyone else. Does anyone know what colour loco lamps did the Railway Operating Division loco carry? I presume that they were white. But the actual the colour of the lamp, that had just sort of been like an oil light, I guess. A sort of an orangey white. Ian Ryan, so what is a good baseboard material? I'd say plywood all the way, thin plywood, and you can make a very strong structure by bracing it at right angles against itself. That would be my personal preference. Brockwell Lane, I'd love some Highland Railway locos and rolling stock. Yeah, Jones Goods. Seemed to be a big ask previously, but the way we are going, maybe there's a chance. Yeah, I think a Jones goods locomotive in the Highland Railway, sort of like a yellowy livery. I think that would be, it's got to be up there. We've had North British Railway, we've had Caledonian Railway with the 812, the Cali 812 announced from Bachmann and Rails. So I think it's only a matter of time before that turns up. Ewood Railway, Sundala. I would say maybe put a layer on the top of your baseboards, but I'd still say plywood all the way. James Carroll, Zoe, what magazines do you subscribe on RPG or gaming in general, and why? You'll have to ask her. She's not subscribed to any magazine. She just kind of buys stuff as and when. Philip Page, 12mm ply. You don't need it quite that thick. I've had some really good results with 6mm ply, and 4mm ply it's getting too thin, but 6mm ply certainly I've had great results using that, and yeah, it does save a lot on weight. Ian Ryan, do you know the way to San Jose? No, but I believe that. Oh, what's his name? I've forgotten his name now. Do you know the way? Tony Christie, that's it. Ham Shackleton, general opinion is thick plywood properly framed up. Yeah, like I say, 6mm ply. If you think 6mm is a little bit on the thin side, maybe go to 9mm. But I think 12mm, you're adding extra weight, but not really getting the benefit of the extra thickness in terms of extra strength. You don't need that extra strength. Fox Hill Railway. Hi, Jenny and everyone from Dunkirk. I've just got in from work. Oh, great to have you along. Ian Ryan, starting from scratch here. We all had to start somewhere. Ewood Railway. I wish I was so much I'd change. Fox Hill Railway. Really nice to see your very first layout, even though it was only pics. Nice start. Well, thank you very much. And there were some of the construction pictures in there as well, so it gave you a sense, if you knew what you were looking at, that actually the baseboards were rubbish. Ewood Railway, but I'm so happy with what I've achieved. Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, you're building a model railway for yourself, and don't listen to other people's criticism if it's unjust. You know, make what you want and enjoy the process of doing that. Yeah, Ian Ryan, I'm taking my time and trying to think of things in advance. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm known as the queen of speed modelling, but it doesn't mean that you have to build as fast as you can. I'm just really impatient, I think, is my problem. But I've known people who've taken years and years and years to build layouts. It's not a problem. Yeah, Patrick Phelan, Chinny Vision, the sort of thing Zoe and I watch a lot. I've watched a lot of Chinny Vision as well, actually, so big up to Chinny Vision. And if you do go over to his channel, don't forget to say that I sent you. You go, who? Who's Jenny? Jenny Monday Club, what are you talking about? 57305 Northern Princess, nice to see you along. I keep my Men in Kilts calendars. Yeah, there's a guy on Who's Counting Rivets, actually, who wore a kilt throughout filming. Pretty hardcore. I believe that he said, you know, for deference, he didn't go full Scottish underneath, and did have some undercrackers going on. I didn't look, I'll hasten to add. But he did assure us that we weren't going to get an unexpected, unsolicited view. Mark Rice, hi Jen, I can't believe Hornby haven't jumped on the bandwagon yet with the pre-grouping coaches that Hattons are going to sell. I'll be honest with you, I see Hornby have really done a lot of dipping their toe in the market with pre-grouping. Some of the W4 packets are actually pre-grouping liveries. So the Huntley and Palmers, for example, perfectly suitable for the Era 2 pre-grouping. They've tested the water with North British liveried wagons, SCR liveried wagons, and I believe also pre-1923 Great Western Railway wagon has come and gone in their range. So there's a dabble going on. We've got the London and South Western Railway brake fan coming from them. Excuse me. And then also things like the H-Class. Really great locomotive. Really, I mean, that is an amazing loco. And I'm kind of hoping that Rail stroke Daypole stroke NRM use that as the baseline for doing the D-Class. That they look at the Hornby H-Class and go, right, we've got to make a model that looks as good, if not better than that model. You know, that's the benchmark. It must beat that model, otherwise, you know, obviously we've not done it right, sort of thing. And I've got every faith. Rails have shown an amazing attention to detail to the Terrier project. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, it's the Hornby one. Like, right. The way I say it is, the Hornby one is very good, but the Rails one is perfect. There will never need to be an updated Terrier, because the Terrier that Rails are producing in conjunction with Daypole, everything is a perfect rendition of the prototype. So you will look at that, and in 20, 30, 40 years time, it should still hold its own because of the attention to the detail that's gone into that. And that's the way I'd describe it. If you want, okay, a pretty reasonable model. If there wasn't the Rails model to compare it to, we'd all be going, that's a really good model. You go for the Hornby one. But if you want perfection, go for the Rails model. It's a lot more expensive, but the other thing as well it does is it natively supports sound fitting. They've put a lot of thought into that. So they're using the Next 18 decoders for sound. And whereas with the Hornby one, if you want to fit the Hornby Terrier with sound, there's not a lot of room in there. The Rails Terrier natively supports the Sugar Cube speaker, there's space for it, and a sound decoder on the Next 18 chip. Bish bash bosh, Bob's your uncle. Yeah, Lee Phillipson, I kept a Terry Pratchett calendar and never opened it. Sometimes you can end up with multiple calendars for the same year. I've done it before in the past. Yeah, I was so glad that people enjoyed the Lost layout video. Zoe's been bugging me, as she said in the comments, to make that video for weeks. Basically, she saw those pictures. So actually, it's done really well. But I think people like looking at where a modeler has come from. So I'd urge other modelers on YouTube, share where you started. I think it's important to show you don't come out of the box, out of the womb. It's like, wah, wah, right, I'll make a model railway and it'll be exhibition quality. It doesn't, this sort of like knowing nothing, because it helps people think, yeah, I could do that as well. Digger Evans, I get the Hornby magazine calendar and never throw them away. I'm a hoarder. Otis JB, your hand-powered turntable seems like a really fun idea. If I ever get a fixed permanent layout, I will definitely add things like that. Yeah, and if you got like Meccano I use, but I think you could probably use Technic Lego as well quite easily to make a mechanism to make that work. So there's a lot of different options, and I put up the video, it broke, so I fixed it. That was quite an epic challenge. But you get problems with the model railway and you fix them. It's just the nature of the beast. And I'm really actually pleased. I feel that I've done a good job with repairing that turntable and basically built it the way it should have been built first time round. Ewood Railway, nice to see there was no cheating on the Model Railway Challenge, unlike last year. Are you talking about Missenden modelers? I know they didn't intentionally cheat, as it were, but I think they kind of the TV company latched onto. Ooh, we've got some controversy here. This will make good TV. And in fairness, Missenden modelers, you fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. You got set up. You got done up like a kipper. Patrick Furlong, I'm watching the series for the first time because Jenny is in it. Was there lots of cheating last time? See, I didn't notice any cheating per se. I know Missenden really kind of pushed the rules. New Mills Model Railway. Okay, Jenny, you've sold the D class to me. Yeah, at the end of the day, if you like a model, really don't deny yourself. Unfortunately, there's a branch of the hobby that's like, oh no, I must model GWR branch line terminus on a Thursday in 1939 with a specific rolling stock that would have been there, sort of thing. And it's actually sometimes you've got to live a little and think, I'm going to have the train that if I think it's pretty, I'm having that. And I know people who have like a full-on modern image layout, and that their little guilty pleasure is they'll have something like a Bachmann C class in the SECR livery, and it's like the locomotive's too beautiful to not have. Conversely, I know people who they'll model like Big Four, so it's like GWR or LMS, but they actually quite like Class 66s. It's like, oh, I quite like that model, so they buy one. Why not? It's your money, it's your model layout. Do what pleases thee. Jennifer, I have sandwiched MDF 2 years, no problem. Yeah, I mean, it does work for some people. It's not one that I'd personally recommend, to be honest. Ham Shackleton, I've got a Hornby coffee grinder turntable, but I scrapped the mechanism and replaced it with a slow-mo drive at 2 RPMs from Banggood. Yeah, I mean, there are some good mechanisms you can get online. Ben Davis, sorry, but this comment don't seem to show up, but did you hear that KR Models are making North America Loco Merrill and Ring Lumber Company Limited Theodosia ARM? What do you think of that? I must admit, North American modelling, it looks pretty to me. I would love at some point to try building a North American outline themed layout. I've seen some amazing modelling, and actually Federal Street Yard, which is an American outline layout, was one of my big inspirations from actually Continental Modeler. I still got that issue of Continental Modeler for that layout because it was like, wow, I love what they've done. So I don't know anything about North American models, but I kind of like the idea of dipping my toe in the water on that. James Carroll, Gamehammer, congrats on that video. Loved seeing Jenny's early modelling other than Trinity or Bolton. Yeah, there's also Grove Street Yard. If you have a hunt around, you can find videos actually of Grove Street Yard. Ian Ryan, red wine here. Chin chin. Oh yes, don't mind if I do. Red wine's good, but I was just in a dark fruits mood. Aaron Izzard, hello Jenny, how are you doing tonight? Just having dinner, sausage butty with mustard. Oh, food of the gods, sir. Food of the gods. Brockwell Lane, did you take Zoe with you to Fawley Hill? No, I didn't, actually. She had a week off each week I was there. She loved it. Alex Faxley, I'm watching from sunny Blackpool. I'm just up the road. We're in Bolton here. Richie Ward Department, 1915. What's everyone's favourite steam era region? I wouldn't say I've got a favourite steam era region. I like them all. That's my problem. I like too much. Ben Davis, it was great to see your first layout and can remember my first model railway. Yeah, it's a bit like your first car. Everybody remembers it with this kind of nostalgic fondness. Mark Wilson, you need a Jenny Monday backdrop. I do actually, yeah. I'll stick something up on here. To be honest, the long-term plan is to film these up in the loft. And actually, the thought does occur to me, Zoe, we've missed a trick, because in using, there's no mirror here to actually show you what it's an iPhone on a bracket over the Wi-Fi, and it suddenly occurs to me, and we could have easily have done this upstairs, and the computer that is upstairs would have been man enough to actually run the comments on the screen like we've got here. So we missed a trick. We could have done this in the loft, Zoe. Alex Faxley, the illuminations are switched on. It's sunny. Yeah, I always used to go to the illuminations as a kid. It's grand. Ian Ryan, okay, thank you regarding the answer to pre-built stuff. You're welcome. Daniel the Spaniel. Hi, Jennifer. What is the theme for the final? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to reveal it, so I'm going to keep that quiet. If it has been revealed, it will be in the TV listings or on the Channel 5 website. So best place to look, somewhere like that. If it has been revealed, it will tell you there, but I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you, so I'd best on the safe side and not. Oh, excuse me. Ian Ryan, thank you regarding baseboard material. You're welcome. Warrington Train Spotter 2778. Hello, sorry I'm late. You're never late. You can drop in and out of the live stream at any time. It's always great to have your company. Flymo Chairman 1, I think I saw something about the iOS update fiasco on Louis Rossman's channel yesterday. It's a fiasco, worldwide response, yeah. And the operating system for smartphones, the Apple smartphone, trashed mine. It really did make a hash of it and made a lot of the apps not work properly. And, you know, that kind of incompetence. Do they not quality control this stuff and actually test it? That's what the alpha release and the beta release is supposed to be. Digger Evans, 9mm ply is good for baseboards. Yeah, I'd say 9mm is probably your best compromise. If you're doing an exhibition layout, it might be worth going down to 6mm and just with really careful bracing, basically to keep the weight down. Foxhill Railway, Tony Christie sung Show Me the Way to Amarillo. Oh, of course, yeah. Show Me the Way to San Jose. Wasn't that Dusty Springfield? Sorry, it's my fault. Chris Lawson, evening to you. Jennifer Cady, love to see some applicable rolling stock for Oxford Rail Cannon, i.e. ammo trucks. I suspect, oh, it's just gone and jumped on me again. I suspect that they used a lot of wagons to hand. So, what I would suggest on that one is keep your eyes out for Rails of Sheffield. They're doing the Southeastern and Chatham Railway ventilated vans. They released them in BR livery and Southern Railway livery. And I'm guessing if there's enough expressions of interest, so, you know, hammer onto them, go, you know, really, really want it. SECR liveried ones may actually be on the cards if enough people show an expression of interest, and they might actually be suitable to go with that. Because the army would have just used whatever was available in wartime. Chaz Walsh. Hi, Jenny. Armchair Charlie here. Just relaxing. Relaxing's always a good thing to do. Still have to get off my bottom. Space limitation. You can build a small layout. Grove Street Yard's pretty small. I've seen people build layouts, a really small little shunting thing in a box file. So you can make them quite small if space is a real issue. Adrian Parker, hi from Turin, Italy. Rather than a Jones Goods, a nice sharp Stuart that could be FR, Furness Railway and Cambrian. Yeah, there's a lot of pre-grouping locos that really screaming out to be done. Brockwell Lane, shame that the Harry Potter layout did not have the correct steam locomotive, did not look right with the diesel. Unfortunately, when we filmed this, the Hogwarts liveried stuff from Hornby wasn't available, which is a big own goal, I have to say, for that. You would have thought that Hornby would have gone, tell you what, we'll lend you the pre-production model, because, you know, just to get it on TV. So missed opportunity there, Hornby. Ian Ryan, I'm looking to start a loft build, so I have access to a loft. Is it better on ground level or raised to 2'6"? I could sit in the loft hatch to use it on ground level. I would suggest raise it up. If only to get access to the underside for electrics, wiring and stuff. 2'6", it doesn't have to be really high. Wear yard in the loft is not massively high, but it's high enough that you can store stuff underneath it. So I would suggest raised to 2'6" is probably a good compromise. Oh, Tony Britton, I believe the way to San Jose was done by Dion Warwick. Yeah, it's not my specialist area of musical knowledge, it has to be said. Ewood Railway, depends on your headroom, the higher the better. Yeah, not a lot of headroom. You can make them lower. I mean, in Weir Yard, if you stand up, there's not a lot of, you bang your head on the roof because it's not that high. But the layout itself is lower than you'd normally build a layout, and it's simply to maximise the space. But you can still get underneath it, like crawl underneath it. And I store stuff underneath, but all of the electrics are underneath, and it keeps them accessible. Ham Shackleton Carpenters did a copy of Do You Know the Way? Oh, take your word for that. I do have a Carpenters compilation on double LP downstairs. Otis JB, did you get to be at the top of the pre-order list for the D class? I'll share a little dirty secret with you. I haven't actually put my pre-order in. I'm currently in the process of arranging a visit for filming to the Rails of Sheffield shop, and one of the things that I will do whilst I'm there is very symbolically place my pre-orders. Now, there are 2 of the D-class models that I really, really would like. I couldn't decide between them, so I decided I will have both. I want the fully ornate livery as it appears in the National Railway Museum, and I also want the scraped back SECR Austerity Grey. And scraped back essentially means when they were painted in this, they painted over all of the brass, but some of the crews thought, no, it looks crap. And what they did was they literally scraped the paint off where the brass was. So you got the brass showing back through the grey, and that's what scraped back grey is. And actually it looks really nice. So that's the other one that I want to order. So I will order these from Rails whilst I'm there. Ewood Railway, I'm not a fan of the loft idea. There's only one layer between rain and your layout. Well, yeah, but if the roof leaks, the rest of your house gets wet as well. And actually, always insulate and line out your loft. Not because lofts can be quite an inhospitable place. What you tend to find, if you don't line out your loft with insulation and the likes, it can be drafty. If you've got an old house like I've got, you're straight underneath the slates. There's no roofing felt, and you can actually, if you look down, you could see like chinks of light between the slates, and it was possible to watch people go by if you peered through some of the bigger gaps. It didn't mean it leaked. That's just how they used to build them. So I insulated with Ecotherm, with Jablite, and then plywood lining. And it's you don't then get the draft coming through, and it means that it's warm in winter, which is important for the rest of your house as well. And it means it's also cooler in summer, because insulation works both ways. If you're just underneath the slates or underneath the roofing felt, roofs get very hot in the sun, and that transfers into the loft area, and you can end up with temperatures so hot that will actually melt your models. It can get that hot in a really hot summer. It'll make a messier track because it will buckle in the heat, things like that. But then also in winter, you can end up with track can actually shrink, go the other way, and you end up with the rail joins pulling apart, dry solder joints coming because the stress is involved. But also you've got to think about something called the moisture barrier. And that is, if you introduce in effect the moisture barrier to be within your loft layout, you get condensation up there. And that condensation can be a big, big nuisance. So my recommendation is line the loft. You can do it yourself if you want. You can get the insulation from a builder's merchant. That's what I did. But it is important to insulate it. And you'll make for yourself a much more usable space, a much more comfortable space, and fringe benefits, makes the rest of the house warmer as well, because it's stopping that heat loss. Let's have a look. Yeah, Ewood Railway, plus there's the ventilation issue. Yeah, you do want some kind of ventilation. I've got an extractor up in the loft, and whilst you don't get a draft blowing through, it's not completely hermetically sealed. Because let's face it, if your house was hermetically sealed with no drafts whatsoever, you'd eventually run out of oxygen. Yeah, Ian Ryan, it's a really good advice. Not standing on a ladder, I'd be sitting in the hole of the loft. Don't stand on the ladder, very easy to slip. And a lot of loft ladders as well, be very careful about your choice of loft ladder. They're not necessarily designed for intensive use. Mark Samway, Spa Valley Railway long weekend with Super 73, 33, 27 running, and Great Eastern Railway Y14. Oh, an Ayland cider. It's grand down south too. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. It's one of the rails I've never been to, but I would like to go and visit at some point. But yeah, obviously it's quite a trek from here. Ian Ryan, shouting down for Alas to bring me tea and cake. Oh, I love a good cake. Jennifer Cady, where can I get 6-wheel bogies from OO Scale? I need 2 sets, short wheelbase preferably. 6-wheel bogies, the only ready to run ones in 00 that I'm aware of was Hornby did the 12-wheel Pullmans, but I don't believe that they sell them as a separate item. Is it Model Power did in America 6-wheel bogies, because I've got one of their dining coaches that my dad brought back when he was in America in the 90s from a model shop because he thought it looked so nice. So they can be available in HO, but again, not sure if they'll be available as a spare item. A up to you to UK Train Spotting. The Growler Blackwood Engage layout, great to have you aboard. Blackwood Engage layout may be on the move next spring to a purpose-built building at the foot of the garden. Spare room police have given notice to move. Yeah, that's always a big risk if you're in a spare room. But what I would say is pay very close attention to security if you're going into an outbuilding. Make sure you think about all the usual things. If it's going to be like a wooden shed, make sure that you're protected from people doing things like some of the popular ways of breaking into sheds, literally pulling the roof off. Pay very close attention to how well secured the roof is, so it can't just be physically pushed off. And a lot of cheap garden sheds, the roofs aren't actually that well secured. The other thing is that the clapboard on the outside, it can be peeled off with the determined person determined to break in, just ripping it off sheet by sheet and then kicking through. So think about a way to secure the inside, even if it's just plywood sheets screwed to the frame in such a way that it can't be easily kicked through, but really do pay close attention to security. And finally, the actual door itself, make sure it's not one that can be just literally unscrewed the hinges and opened that way. It has happened. Not here, but it has happened. UK Train Spotting. Do you know when the Large Prairie is coming out? I don't know the precise dates, but I don't think it's massively far away. Brockwell Lane, this pre-grouping thing could be the future of model railways. Spread the word. Well, I have been trying to for a few years. Ian Ryan, what is pre-grouping? Essentially, right, the grouping is where the railway companies were amalgamated into the 4 railway companies: Great Western, LMS, LNER and Southern. So pre-grouping is pre-1923, when there was a whole plethora of different railway companies. So that's where you see things like South Eastern and Chatham Railway, London and South Western Railway, Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway, London and North Western, London and South Western, Caledonian Railway, Highland Railway, North British Railway, Midland Railway, North Eastern Railway, Great Northern Railway, Great Central Railway, North Staffordshire Railway. You know, the list is endless. Yeah, Berry 120, what you just said there. I hate it when it jumps like that. FLWV, hello, how are you doing? I'm pretty good, thanks. Chaz Walsh, lost you for a minute back. FLWV, may I ask how old you are? I'm 36. I'm as old as my teeth and a little bit... no, I'm as old as my tongue and a little bit older than my teeth, is all I'll say on that. Aaron Izzard, what I will say is that I'm a child of the 1970s, but I'm not going to tell... Well, feck it, I'm 40. Aaron Izzard, me personally, the best period to model in the transition of the 50s and 60s. You've got the Big Four and the first and second generation diesels and electrics. Berry 120, I'm wondering if anyone will make a class 139, aka cutest train ever. Oh, the 139. I think the cutest train ever. I beg to differ on that. I think the Packet W4 does a good job of being a little cutesy. Mark Wilson, my favourite steam year was 1967-68 when they cut the kettles in half. Ooh, controversial. Ben Davis, I'm the same. I like all era steam trains like you. Yeah, I just like, it's like, oh, shiny. Everything from pre-grouping through to pre-privatization. So I always say about 1992 is my cut-off point. Gillarag125. Hi Jenny, love your videos. Thank you very much. Richie War Department 1915. There should be a Christmas special GMRC. I did make a few suggestions to the TV company that made it, and I believe a few other people have. As to whether they will do, I don't know. I'm not in the loop on that. It would be nice to see. Ben Davis, would you think we're going to get Model Railway Challenge Series 3? I think there's a good possibility, yeah. James Carroll, Jenny, next week live stream be from the Loft. We're yard in background, maybe a train or two running while you chat. No, the trains might be a bit noisy, but yeah, we can certainly try that. I do have a special guest coming, so I'll announce a bit more about that in the week. So it's been arranged. Hopefully it will still happen. It does have a YouTube channel. I can't remember which YouTube channel, because obviously I deal with him with his actual name. I think it's Cottesmore Model Railway, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, we've got a special guest coming. It does get a little bit warm up there, it has to be said, when you've got two people. But yeah, let's see. Let's play it by ear. Ben Davis, I can't wait to get the D-Class in wartime grey. Yeah, that is one that I really want to do. Otis JB, I heard there's an SECR van from Rails and Rapido, but at £30, what a rip-off. Right, that van is £27.99, so about 28 quid. It's 3D printed, but it's very low production, and you wouldn't know it's 3D printed when you look at it. It's done using the same sort of materials that they use for 3D printing parts for the aerospace industry. Daypol is their partner in that. They're entirely made in the UK, and they're very low production run, because that kind of van just at this stage isn't necessarily ready for a full-scale production run. So it allows some of these more unusual prototypes to reach the market. And when you look at it, what some of the Bachmann models, wagons are going for, it's not that far off the money, I have to say. I was very impressed by it. Yes, it is a specialist item, but the technology is new, and I think the scope is for that technology to improve, and as it improves, the costs may well come down. Jennifer Cady, 12 wheels due to heavy weight was correct type for cannon, so it's a scratch built job, I guess, and end opening for shells. Right. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Ian Ryan, thank you for the Loft build. You're welcome. Brockwell Lane, I often deliberately limit myself to an area and era of modelling because the fun for me is doing the research. Yeah, people get their fun from modelling out of many different things. So it's, whatever's your poison. Yeah, this is my choice now. Do not look down on people who mix. It's all good fun. Absolutely right. You've hit the nail on the head. At the end of the day, this hobby is a broad church. And just because, it's a bit like art. I always use this comparison. It's a bit like a painting by Vincent van Gogh and a painting by Jackson Pollock. Very, very radically different. But each have their detractors and each have their champions. And it doesn't mean one's better than the other. It just means they're different. And, you can like both. You can like neither. You can like one or the other. It doesn't really matter. Yes, Otis JB. I believe the model of the NRM D-Class is only available through Locomotion Models. That is correct. There's one model livery, which is the livery, the actual identity of the one that's in the National Railway Museum that just survived, is the NRM end of the deal. All the other liveries are available through Rails of Sheffield. Although I suspect that the NRM shop may well stock some of the other models from Rails, but they're technically Rails as exclusives, as it were. James Pets, Loft, dear me, I model in a purpose-built shed. Yeah, but see, I was in a shed, but it was a lot smaller than the space I've got in the loft. And the thing for me was, the big clincher was security. Ever since I got burgled, many years ago now, the loft didn't feel so secure to me, and you had to go outside to get there. With this, I could just go straight up to the upstairs. It's straight above this room. And for me, it works better. Ian Ryan, never thought the heat buckling track. It does. The track's made of metal. It expands and contracts with the temperature, just like, like anything. Bimetallic strips. Do you remember? I don't know whether you would have done it at school. And when I was at school, we had things called the pin breaker. And what you do is you had like a rod with a screw on it, and you heated it up with a Bunsen burner so it expanded, and you tightened it up with a pin through the bracket at the end, and you kept tightening it up, kept heating it up, and then when you reached a point where you'd taken a lot of slack out because it showed how much that rod had expanded, you then cooled it, usually when you're tipping a bit of water on it, and as it cooled down, the main metal rod contracted, and that pin that was sort of trapped in this vice bit would get ripped apart. And what it showed was actually the power that is in a material, a metal, when it expands and contracts. There's a reason why the railways buckle in extreme heat. There's so much power in that expansion and contraction that really, your model railway, it'll just get shredded if you don't have the right expansion joints. Berry 120 Reloft. I've had a model melted due to heat before, unfortunately. It was just a trying DMU, but the roof looked like something out of the Tate modern afterwards. Yeah, you got to be careful of these things. Vampira, hi to you. It's just jumped again. James Petch, you like cake? You have splendid taste. Well, what's not to like about cake? Yeah, Mark Wilson, I think our American cousins have basements as standard. Not all of them, but they do seem to be a lot more common in America, I have to say. Tony Britton, isn't it brilliant that we can all voice our opinions on the Jenny Monday Club? Thanks, Jenny. You're welcome. And as I always say, just because, you have a difference of opinions, it doesn't make somebody right or wrong. There are different opinions. And I'm always a strong advocate of this. Do what you like. Do what works for you. Don't let anybody else tell you how you should be doing your model. You do what you want to do, what gives you enjoyment. At the end of the day, this hobby, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm looking over there. I'm looking at the comments whilst I say this. I should look at the camera because it's over here. But do what you enjoy. And I'm a firm advocate that if there is some part of railway modelling that you don't enjoy doing, find a way of not doing it. Concentrate on the stuff you do like doing. There's nothing wrong with, for example, buying resin buildings because you don't like building buildings. There's nothing wrong with that. And conversely, if you love scratch building a building from scratch, you do that. Don't let anybody tell you not to. It's about what gives you enjoyment, and that's the most important thing. So yeah, it's a broad church, our hobby, and don't listen to... There always seems to be like a very vocal minority when you go on internet fora who will criticise, you should be doing this, you should be counting this rivet and that rivet. Don't listen to them, because it's the old adage my mum always used to say, empty vessels make the most noise. Mark McClellan, are you staying up for the final Star Wars trailer? I'll be honest, I kind of tuned out. I liked the first new G. I liked the second one less. But the one that really blew me away, and I maybe a bit controversial, Rogue One for me has eclipsed all other Star Wars films. I thought that was a truly amazing film. So maybe it's controversial, but that's just me. Ham Shackleton, in the loft, don't rely on the dangling extension lead for power. You are guaranteed to trip over it, or someone else will unplug the far end to use the socket. I wired in my loft. It's got power, it's got light, and I think that is a very important consideration. Ian Ryan, most places would do one cut in plywood for free, more cuts cost. What I would suggest in this is go to a local wood yard. They usually charge a flat fee for cutting up the 8x4 sheets. If you pre-plan in advance all the parts that you need, this is how I built Grove Street Yard. You kind of, as an IKEA pack, make sure all the pieces tessellate and can actually be cut out with a circular saw, and then get the wood yard to cut all your bits. This has two benefits. One, you don't have to cut them. They get a much cleaner, much more accurate cut. Two, all the bits of wood that are cut up will fit in your car when you come to bring them home. Berry 120 X6193 is the Hornby 6-wheel bogie. I didn't realise that they did them as spare parts. That is quite useful to know. Gillarag for 125 Dapel, then Hornby LMS 12-wheel restaurants also. Yeah, but they do have the larger goalpost couplings. So Yeah. Oh, JB, could you do a video on your American dining car? I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'll show off. I've not got very much in the way of American stuff. D827 Kelly, evening to you. I'm currently being intently stared at by the dog as I have some pork pie. They do that and they make you feel very guilty. We've got a cat that does much the same. Warrington Train Spotter 2778. Where's the best place to buy the plywood? Oh, it just jumped. B&Q, and they will cut it to the size you want. I've had mixed responses from B&Q. They get a bit sniffy if you want a lot of pieces cutting up. So I tend to use Ellsworth's is the name of the company. It's a local business, so it doesn't have branches. It's just one wood yard, and they charge, I think it's a flat £2 per 8x4 sheet to cut it, whether you want it cut in half or whether you want like 30 different pieces cut from it. So well worth thinking about. Ian Ryan, Language Timothy. Oh, did I swear? I'm really sorry. Yeah, DH7 Kelly, Timber Merchant's best option. Berry 120, cutest train ever, as a reference to the Jeff Marshall video that made it popular. Oh, right, okay. New Mills Model Railway, what 4-pin chip would you recommend? I'm only aware of the Hornby one, but at the moment, everywhere's pretty much out of stock because Hornby's out of stock and they're waiting for more stock to come through from the factory in China. DH7 Kelly, if you mean David from Wigan, then yes, his channel is Cottesmore. Right, yeah, that'll be the one. Stuart Muir, I do hope they do a celebrity version of the Great Model Railway Challenge. It would be great to see a few soap stars and celebrities endure the wrath of Stern Steve and Strict Kathy. I don't know. I think you might find that you can imagine Rod Stewart, Jules Holland, and that they give as good as they get. They'll give some lip back and be like, "Fine, you think you're so great? Let's see what you'll make in the time period." Jennifer Cady, wonder if MRC has increased younger and older interest now. At least new tele. Yeah, there's definitely an increase in interest. A lot more people coming into modelling who may have never even realised that they had an interest. Yeah, Ian Ryan, you're absolutely welcome. Yeah, we got a troll, but luckily, yeah, we've got a troll going on. I'm assuming that you, yeah. Yeah, to be honest, there's always some people on the internet who are just complete losers. Losers. I don't know, they just sat in the Y front surrounded by used Kleenex in their parents' basement or something. Yeah, Mark McClellan, Rogue One is the only one. Oh, I think I'm near the actual the bottom here. DH7 Kelly, the rails on the prototype are treated to cope with the most common heating conditions. When the temperature goes beyond the range, you get buckling or cracking. Somewhere like Spain will use a different range. Yeah, and the other thing as well is painting them white. You may sometimes see point work and rails painted white, and the reason for that is because it reflects the heat better, and that can help as well. James Pets, you have a cat. We need cat videos. Yes, we have a cat. Otis JB, do rivet counters actually exist like literal ones? They seem crazy to me. It's a derogatory term based on the fact that a lot of these people criticise, like, oh, you got that wrong, this wrong. And it's like, basically, the adage is that they sit around literally counting the number of rivets on things. And it's all right, I'm still drinking the first one. Look at the state of it. I wouldn't mind some nibbles. What have we got? Or did I scoffle?
We ate them earlier. I can make you a fried egg sandwich.
Ooh. Not really conducive to doing a live stream. Maybe save that till afterwards.
Would you like me to go and get you something?
No, because I'm trying to cut back.
Put some chips in for you. No, I can't, because we ate them.
Because we ate them.
Is this cold?
That is cold. Ow, wasn't it?
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Brockwell Lane. Yeah, thanks, Zoe. Yeah, blocked and ignored. Grand. Mark Wilson, look under bridges. That's where trolls sit when not looking for goats. Well, internet trolls just sit in their parents' basements in a dirty pair of Y fronts surrounded by used Kleenex. Yes, DH7 Kelly, the white also helps staff see potential hazards. For example, ends of third rails generally painted white. Yeah. Also, the check rails on points, you often see the ends of those painted white in yards and on sheds just to make them more visible. Same way that the point changing levers. I think they're yellow now. Are they yellow now? They certainly used to be white. I was gonna say something. So I was gonna say something when I got up to date, and now I've forgotten what I was going to say when I got up to date. But certainly, other model railway news. Well, we've had Project Genesis. We've had the 3D printed wagons from Rails. And I know that some of you criticised a little bit about the price, but when you compare to say, look at how much a Bachmann press flow cement wagon is currently selling for, and you'll realise actually it's not too bad. And these are bringing to the market prototypes which wouldn't otherwise justify a full release. So I think that they're definitely filling a nice niche in the market. And it may well be, if they sell really well, then the market is proven to put them into production as an injection moulded wagon, and we could see the price drop. But similarly, there are certain wagons that we might now see in model form that we would never have seen otherwise. Brockwell Lane, what's the cat called? I'm guessing Sonic or Mario. Guess again. The cat is called Fred. Ash Bear, hi Jenny, hi all. Hi to you, great to have you along. D827 Kelly, new announcements due from Daypol and Helgen at the Meog show next month too. Yeah, a lot of the announcements do come up sort of through the year. So what you tend to find is some of the big show stuff turns up. I think York always used to be one where Bachmann would try and get a couple of new wagons actually released for sale at the York show, because I can remember going to that, and when the 3-plank wagon that they did they did it in ICI livery and BR Freight Brown livery, and I remember them turning up for day one of the York show. James Pet's Fluffy Fred. Yeah, I wouldn't try stroking her. She's got tortitude. She's got a bit of an attitude problem. Mark Wilson, any more of the Rail Riders crew coming on as guests soon, and when will we see the Bolton Model Club? I was hoping that Les would come back on today, but he had to go and pick some stuff up, so he wasn't able to. Melanie we've had on. Simon lives down in Sidcup in Kent, so south side of London, and it's just logistics for that, and of course Stefan is over in Sweden. Now we are trying to work out a way of getting people through on Skype, so we will actually sort something out in that respect, but for the moment it's just me. You'll have to do with me. This is good stuff. Jennifer Cady, have you seen the new Bachmann breakdown crane set? Yes. At the final of the GMRC, Bachmann had quite a few of their new toys out and about to kind of demonstrate, and the breakdown crane was one of them, and it looks really amazing. It's very expensive, so those of you who are griping over 28 quid for the SECR van from Rails, it's like best part of 200 quid for the breakdown crane. The Don Juan, Jenny, you are on Hatton's Facebook story. Yeah, I know we filmed some stuff earlier on today for that. Canadian Rail fan, sorry Jenny, I'm late. Don't worry. Look, this video goes up and stays up on YouTube as a proper video once it's processed at the end of the stream, so don't worry about it. Mark Whitehouse, hi Jenny, what's the best wood to use for a layout? So I'm starting up again after 40 years. I think we talked a little bit about this earlier on. I would say that 9mm ply is probably the best compromise. You can use 12mm, it will be a bit heavier, so just bear that in mind. 9mm is perfectly adequate, and if you adequately brace it, say if you want super lightness, 6mm ply is actually pretty good, but you have to be very careful with the way you brace that to get the maximum strength out of it. D827 Kelly, announcements for next year would generally be at trade shows in January rather than Worley these days. Yeah, Ali Pally tends to get a lot of announcements as well. Otis JB, couldn't agree more. Bachmann models are nice, but they're not afraid to take the mick with some of their prices. Yeah, I remember when Bachmann prices were actually very, very reasonable. I can remember a £5 for a branch line wagon, the 16-ton mineral wagons. I remember buying them brand new at a £5 a piece. And then it was kind of when the ex-London and North Eastern Railway vans turned up, and just after the first run of the press flow cement, that's the point that they really ramped the prices through the roof. And I remember the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway 7F, the Austin 7s, first locomotive to go above £100. I think it came out at a price of £103. And that was the point I went, oh, come on, you're taking the rip now. Russell Benton, Accurascale announcing something big at Worley. Yes, they are, and very much looking forward to that. There's some great products coming through from Accurascale. You'll have seen me on this channel do some reviews. I've done the HUO triple pack, both in NCB livery and the BR Tops livery. Did a weathering video on those, and actually it's something that I hope that came across in the weathering video. That weathering doesn't have to scare you, and you don't need to own an airbrush. I used the Hornby Humbrol weathering washes to great effect on those. Now, a lot of people have said, wow, that's actually quite a good effect. And I hope it came across in the video that it's quite simple, dead easy to do, but the results are really, really good. They also sent me a pair of the PCV tankers, and they are a great model, and they really do reward very close scrutiny of the models because the detail just keeps on giving. They are amazing, amazing wagons, and what I'm really looking forward to is when the Class 55 Deltic comes out from them. Now, I know that Bachmann have had a model on the market for a good long time now, but for me, the Bachmann production Deltic has always felt a bit of a disappointment. I do have 55020 Nimbus, and it's probably one of my least favourite locomotives. It's relegated. It's not even been DCC chipped. There's something about that. Was that Ben Davis? Sorry, your Railwagon, that pick thing overpriced, but do you mean Rails of Sheffield? Yeah, Rails of Sheffield are doing the 3D printed wagon. Yeah, the prototype Deltic that they did in conjunction with the NRM is a beautiful model. I love that model. But the actual production Deltic always left me feeling slightly underwhelmed. So actually, I think there is a good deal of room in the market for an all-singing, all-dancing model from another manufacturer, in this case from Accurascale. And that is actually one that I'm really looking forward to. And I think that that is going to be something special. Ian Ryan, who does a good Deltic? Well, actually, the best production Deltic that's on the market at the moment would be Bachmann, but with caveats. I've always felt underwhelmed by that model. The prototype Deltic that you get through the National Railway Museum, that is a wonderful, wonderful model. I cannot recommend it more highly. But Accurascale are bringing out an all-singing, all-dancing Class 55, and I've got every hope that that will be the definitive Class 25. Let's have a look. Yeah, 9mm ply I think is the best compromise. If you're daring like me and weight is an issue, go 6mm, but if not, 9mm is a great compromise. My personal opinion is that 12mm is probably a bit too heavy, and you don't need the extra strength that it would give. It's just, it's just extra dead weight. Otis JB, couldn't agree more. Bachmann models are nice, but they're not afraid to take the mick with some of the oh, sorry, I've already read that out, I think. Brockwell Lane, do you think there will be many new announcements from Worley this year? Not entirely sure. Possibly, but I think, as Kelly was saying, I think we're going to see them in the new year now. Canadian Rail fan, well, looking forward to GMRC final, but I know who won. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I know who won as well. Mark Wilson, do you think Brexit will increase the prices of stock from abroad? It's actually more to do with the exchange rate between the dollar and the pound, as well as rising wage costs in China as much as anything. So it all depends on what the currency do. Now, if the pound climbs radically against the dollar, there will actually be pressure on companies like Bachmann to reduce their prices as a result. Whether they do or not, I don't know. But certainly, I think there's a few things being blamed for price rises which aren't necessarily entirely true, as it were. Yes, costs in China with wages have gone up, but not by as much as prices have risen at this end. And whilst I think prices are quick to go up when the pound falls against the dollar, and they're very slow to come back down when the pound rises against the dollar. So there's a lot of excuses going on. Not just model railways, but businesses as a whole. One of the big thing with prices being in dollars is petrol. Very quick to go up when the pound falls against the dollar, but very slow, if at all, to come down when it goes the other way. Brockwell Lane got a job lot of unmade Airfix wagons from the 60s last week. It says 39p on the boxes. I'm making them up for our club layout. Surprisingly good models for the time. Yeah, they do hold their own as a kit. I think some of the moulds now are getting a bit tired, but if you've got original 60s models, the parts should be fairly sharp. John Nutman, hope to get an S15 in the next month or so, as my dad got two N15s already, but finding the right price. I know what you mean. An S15 and an N15, they're locomotives that I would really love. From Hornby, but just never really quite got round to justifying the price. The 827 Kelly, I'm looking forward to the 92. Yeah, I know a lot of people are. It's not my bag, it has to be said, but I think it's going to be a good model when it comes through. Otis JB, everyone else has been happy to follow in Bachmann's footsteps. I can't believe some RRPs for models that have been out for years. At least they're starting to come down again. Yeah, when tooling is amortized, which basically means that the R&D costs and the development costs of the model have been paid off, as in effect, by the first few runs of the model. Logically, you're not having to recover that R&D cost anymore. It's effectively been accounted in and recovered, and yet they'll charge more and more for these models where the R&D is already paid back. Ian Ryan, thank you regarding Deltics. You're absolutely welcome. D87 Kelly, John Kerno have them on sale at the moment. I must go and have a look. And that's one of the things as well. Somebody did accuse me of being like, oh, you're like really pro Hattons. Do you work for them? I don't work for Hattons. But I'm not afraid to big up other model shops as well. And actually, Kerno Model Centre, they do quite often have some really good deals on. And, it's a bit like, supermarkets. What's at a good price at one isn't necessarily at a good price at another. And it pays to shop around. And what I tend to do is I compare prices between Invicta Models, Rails of Sheffield, Hattons, and Kerno Model Centre. They're kind of my big four that I tend to check the prices of and shop between them. But also don't overlook your local model shop, because quite often you can find, for example, Hulton Model Centre had old stock stuff in, and you could buy brand new in the box. They would just happen to be like 5, 6, 7 years in stock. Bachmann wagons for under a tenner, because that's the price they used to be. So, don't neglect some of your smaller retailers. Leslie Dickinson, hi to you. Great to have you along. John Pinney, I've been watching the GMRC. What happens to the layouts after the show? In short, the teams get to keep them. Whether they do actually keep them as a full layout is something that is entirely up to the teams. And I know a lot of layouts, for space considerations as much as anything, just got stripped and junked. So the Halloween layout from Team Rail Riders that you've already seen in the semi-final a couple of weeks ago doesn't exist anymore. It's been stripped for bits and dismantled, which is unfortunate, but there's nowhere to keep it. The War of the Worlds layout does still exist. That's currently in storage at Hattons, but yeah, teams kept them. A lot of teams still have them. There'll be quite there'll be the winning layouts, and in winning layouts it's the full 3 layouts, so the heat layout, semi-final layout, and final layout for the winning team. But I know the Loco ladies are also going to be exhibiting their heat layout at Worley, and then the War of the Worlds layout is going to definitely be at Alexandra Palace, and no doubt quite a few of the other ones will be turning up at shows around the country. Richie War Department 1915, keep up the good work, Jen. Thank you very much. Canadian Bones, about the fact that I think that it would have been nice to see more of the actual construction And it's something I did raise with Pat Doyle, and hasn't been acted on for whatever reason. You know, I just throw ideas. They're under no obligation to even listen to me. But I suggested that actually YouTube itself, if they had their own YouTube channel, or indeed use the Channel 5 YouTube channel, to put out some of this as extra content. The BBC is very good at doing stuff like this through, you know, Red Button, extra stuff, extended things on iPlayer. And I thought that there was ample opportunity for some of the construction stuff that's been filmed. You know, it was filmed, could go out in full on, say, a YouTube channel to help promote the show. Could all be branded Channel 5 GMRC type thing. You know, Seymour going last year for not including as much of it. And I think they're falling into some of the same pitfalls, not because they're thinking, oh, that's boring, but simply because of a time constraint. The other thing that also I've made no bones about is I think that the judges have been edited in such a way that it doesn't do them any favours. They haven't established credibility, as it were. You know, it's like, so, you know, what have you built type thing. You know, I know that they are very capable modelers in their own right, but the program itself hasn't justified that. And I think some of the comments have been unduly harsh and unwarranted against multiple teams. And maybe it's a thing about editing, I don't know. But my personal opinion is that they've got enough great footage to make the episodes 2-3 times as long, and you still won't get bored watching them. There's enough in there. And you know, it's just the magic of TV. I know from my sister, having worked for 20 odd years in television, the amount of stuff that ends up on the cutting room floor just for time reasons is absolute sacrilege. There's a reason why you see on DVDs cut scenes, or you can watch it in full with the cut scenes put back in. They're cut for time, not because of any other reason. A lot of the time, some of these scenes. Biggest Little Railway, there's about 500 hours of footage filmed, multiple storylines that just got junked through lack of time. And Great Model Railway Challenge, I'm remembering all the things that got filmed. Never seen some of this stuff purely because of time. So it is a shame. Canadian Rail fan, yes, Kathy was much better this week. She mellowed out a bit, and you know, in fairness to Kathy, so you know, at the end of the day, you're beholden to the editor, and it may well be that she's been edited to come across in a certain way, and that's not, you know, they've taken maybe comments out of context or only part of a comment, so it seems harsher than it perhaps was at the time. And if that was the case, if I was Kathy, I'd have been straight onto them going, hey, you're making me out to be a bit, you know, like nasty in this, and that's not how it was. And maybe they've listened to a lot of the feedback. I know in our semi-final, I did talk to Pat the day before, and he happened to mention to me that they were still editing the sound on that episode. So editing does still go on right up to the transmission deadline. You know, feedback comes in from how people received previous episodes. So they can tailor some of these episodes a little bit. D827 Kelly, S15 and H15 are 89 to 99 at Kerno at the moment. Do they have the Southern Railway green? Because they're the ones that are always hard to get. Things like BR Black or Southern Wartime Black come up at the good prices. But the green ones always seem very elusive. Ian Ryan, I loved your Halloween layout. Thank you. Ooh. Something's just happened. Just give me a moment here. Oh. Yeah, for some reason the Mac decided it would go to the screensaver. But yeah, thank you. The Halloween layout, actually, it's grown on me, it has. Leslie Gilpin, in catch-up, had to stop using bandwidth whilst the latest holiday photo book was being proved. No problem. Ian Ryan, the local ladies, were they with the red and pink trees, the crochet trees, which I thought were great. And I thought Kathy's comment on that was actually very mean. Because they reminded me of like Sergeant Pepper's, the Magical Mystery Tour, Yellow Submarine, very psychedelic. Those trees were great. And a lot of the GMRC was thinking outside the box. And I just thought that that was a great idea. And Kathy's comments were a bit mean on that. And as the local ladies have said since, her comments were not shared by a lot of the audience. You know, the feedback that they've had is amazingly positive on those. And I'd like to say that I am one of those people who really loved what they'd done with that, doing something very different. If I'd have done that, I can't crochet. So, but you know, one of the things that I would probably have done would have been spray them up with hairspray and then chuck a bit of scatter at them to give it like different textures and stuff. And I think that that would have clinched it, but doesn't detract from the trees as they were. I think that they were great and deserved more credit. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Gary Tate, when you said Invicta models, did you mean Invicta models in Sidcup, Kent, as that's one of my local model shops? Indeed, I did. They do a lot of special commissions, and I like to support model shops that commission their own models of prototypes that might not necessarily otherwise hit the mainstream. Invicta Models has taken on a lot of the ex-Model Zone vibe with the RTC departmental stuff, and I've been happy to support that because they brought out wagons that I really, really wanted. On top, you know, I've supported a lot of different model shops that have brought out even just re-liveries. I do like to support local model shops. I was in Hull the other day. I didn't get into 53A. I got to Hull just after they closed, and I was really gutted at that because 53A models used to be one of my childhood model shop haunts, and it's just really nice to see it still there on Hessel Road. Gary Tate, when you said, oh, so I've just read that out. Leslie Gilpin, same for me, basically. I thought it was me. Oh, lagging. Ian Ryan lagging a bit. I think that's YouTube's end rather than us, it has to be said. Canadian Rail fan, like new camera angle. Yeah, a necessity because iOS ballsed up the update and OBS now doesn't work. QuickTime doesn't work. Photoshop's having issues, and Apple have absolutely messed up the rollout of the new operating system. The same for iPhones as well. Like, guys, quality control, please. Berry 120, yeah, definitely agree with you on the criticism of some of the judges. While I still maintain Kathy seemed harsh, some of the comments I've seen thrown at her have been completely out of order. Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. I like to think that my criticism has, I've not been unwarranted with my criticism. I do like to give benefit of the doubt. I know that she's a very capable modeler. I think she would have come across better in the series if they'd have even just like 10 seconds of and established the credibility of the judges. You know, go and film at her house, film her model layout, film her making something. It's about establishing that credibility, and I think that would have gone a long way to head off some of the criticism. I think as well that you know, I'm very mindful that how you are edited changes how you come across. You know, a lot of the editing is edited, so maybe she's been edited to be that way a little bit, and that's not her fault. But I think there was a few areas where I guess the framework of the judging as well is possibly at fault. They're being very subjective about something that as a judge you need to judge objectively. And the rules did contain a lot of stuff about, you know, extra points will be awarded for working points, for making your own trees, and actually that never happened on the day. And I think that they kind of strayed from the nitty-gritty of the rules. You know, we have to remember it's a TV program. It's not so there's lots of other ifs, buts and maybes going here, but you know, I think that there's
everything right?
Yeah, so I can see on the pic. That's creepy when Zoe, I will bang on the floor when I'll just give it here.
You're mentioning lag problems. I've been popping in and checking, and everything's fine on our end.
Maybe internet service providers. Excuse me. But actually, it could also be maybe there's thousands of people on my live stream.
I can't see thousands of people. I can see 125.
Where is the camera? Oh, there it is.
You see that bit in the top left where it says 123?
124.
There you go. That's how many people.
I think that's a record, actually. Is that a record? Sorry for the extreme close-up of my eye. I was trying to work out where the camera is. Anywho,
you're saying that you are drunk.
I am drunk. I'm a light.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your trains.
Right, anywho.
Choo-choo.
Yeah. Brockwell Lane. I've had so many people in the industry say GMRC has increased interest in the hobby that I completely changed my mind about the show. You have to also thank James May for making our hobby less weird. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And it's something that I've heard from retailers. Hornby as well, actually. Excuse me. I was talking with some of their media people, and they've said that they've seen a lot of increase in demand, which is really good for the hobby. Model shops are saying they're getting more footfall, more people buying stuff. And it's not just people coming into the hobby, but also that I was talking with Tim at Arcadia in Shore, and he said you're getting people coming in who might be regular modelers, but they get more ambitious. They're like, I'm going to try building X, Y, and Z because, you know, made it look easy. I'm going to give that a go. So they're actually selling more of the nuts and bolts ingredients to make stuff, the modelling materials, than they may have otherwise done before. And I think it's done an awful lot to bring into the spotlight some of these great products that are on the market. I mean, Woodland Scenics in particular, a lot of those products are amazing. They're great products. I never heard of half of these before the show, but now it's getting the word out there that there's these materials available, and it makes building model railways so much more accessible, easier, and you can get a great result much more readily. So, you know, very accessible. Let's have a look. Canadian Railfan, building a scratch-built signal box out of wood and card. Go you! Very satisfying when you build something from scratch. I'm not a big scratch builder myself, but I can see just where the enjoyment lies. It just doesn't tickle me. But yeah, good for you. Look forward to seeing the end result. D87 Kelly, SR Black, if I remember. Ah, right, yes, the model on sale. So I've got a bit of like sharp skin at the side of my nail. It just kept crouching. Leslie Gilpin, something flashed. Don't know what that would be. Otis JB, I have a wartime black N15, lovely model. Yeah, the model itself, I really do want to get an S15. It's just I'd rather like it in either malachite green or Monsell olive green. I don't know, just match my school's class. James Petts, and you can often get them at very good prices at Ellis Clark trains at large shows. Yeah, I've seen them selling stuff. I must do a frisk of places. The problem I've got is I might do okay at Ali Pali next year because I'll be there exhibiting. So I'll be there setting up on the Friday. And one of the things I like to do at model shows is frisk the trade whilst they're setting up, because you can actually get the gut bargains that otherwise get hoovered up. Jonathan Kelly, unfortunately I can't watch it here in Ireland, but personally I think any extra publicity for the hobby can only be a good thing. Railway Modeler really pushes it too, which is very good in my opinion. Yeah, it's grand. I think it's done wonders for the hobby. And VPN, IP spoofing, you didn't hear that from me, but you can watch stuff abroad. Hopefully they'll syndicate it. Biggest Little Railway did get syndicated, and I got told by people in like Australia and Canada, it's like, hey, you're on the telly. So with any luck, maybe they will consider syndicating it abroad, or maybe they'll film their own version. If there's anybody from Channel 5 watching, I am available to be a judge on any overseas things. You know, I'm very reasonable rate. Yeah, okay, I do. Yeah, don't ask, don't get. Leslie Dickinson, I agree with you, Jenny, about the Loco Lady. Says yes, it had that Sergeant Pepper's feel and was cool. Yeah, and it's one of the big things for me that GMRC has done is it showed that you can think outside of the box. And, you know, it's almost an overused phrase, but, you know, we weren't constrained by traditional railway modelling. We kind of let it all hang out and, like, you know, doing things differently, pushing the envelope, all of these management buzzwords. But the crochet trees were part of that, and I thought that it was a really good idea. Because you think, right, little Jimmy, I want some trees for my layout. I haven't got much money, but Granny wants. Granny's quite happy with them. Boom, Bob's your uncle. So it's things like that. You've got to think of the bigger picture. Canadian Rail Fan, I've got 2 N15s in Southern Green and 3 S15s in Southern Green. You'd quite like the Southern then, I take it. I've got none. I've got a schools class, and I'd love an S15 and an N15. I've got an N class. In fact, I've got 3 N classes. I've got the SECR Grey and 2 in Southern Olive Green. Ben Davis, I love the S15s. Last week, I went to the Hats Railway Steam Gala to see in wartime Black SR. D87 Kelly, Jonathan, the episodes do seem to get uploaded to YouTube. ... They probably get taken down again very quickly for copyright. It just jumped. For copyright reasons. Ian Ryan, if you look at trees in the sunsets, there are all colours in there. From green and grey, red, pink and purple, gold and copper. Especially in autumn as well. You get some really lovely colours in autumn. Leslie Gilpin, Jonathan Kelly, Barnabas Junction has been uploading it onto YouTube, only viewable outside UK. Interesting. That's you've got to be careful doing that. D87 Kelly, growing up, Invicta was local, though I spent more time in Kit Crazy or Bexley Model Shop. There are all points they could take on board if Series 3 happens. Yeah, I know that they have asked from the people who were involved if they had any ideas. So I fed a few ideas, and whether they'll act on any of them, who knows. But when the series is finished, I'm going to write like a step-by-step some of my suggestions pro gratis for Pat. Basing TMD, thought it was a ghost opening the door then. Yeah, so did I. Jennifer Cady, smokestack fell off my S15 Black Southern. Grrr, small but annoying. Yeah, some of the detail can be a bit fragile, but very carefully you can get it glued back on. I've got dry skin or something there. What's going on? D87 Kelly, a disparity between the judges and the producers, I expect, with the producers having little clue potentially. Yeah, Ian Ryan, if Zoe don't bring you a can, she gets it. She gets it. Leslie Gilpin, scary freeze when Jenny found the camera. Frozen. Is it Frozen? Right. I've got dry skin there and I just picked it. I'm now worried I'm going to bleed. Canadian Rail Fan, I'm in the UK for selling my house, things like that as well. To Worley Model Railway Exhibition, got £1,000 to burn on Model Railway. It's been saving for a couple of years. My word, don't let it burn too much of a hole in your pocket. But if you're there on the Sunday, do look out for me and say hello. Ben Davis, will you get the Acura Scale Class 55 9016 Gordon Highlander and Porterbrook purple livery? I'll get what they pump my way to review. I'm hoping that they will let me review one. I suspect that it'll be one that they don't let me keep, because that's a lot of money. As to whether I'd just buy it, yeah, certainly. If it's a good enough model, I've always said I'm quite happy to put my money where my mouth is and say, this is what I want. But I want Rails Blue. With the tops number would be what I would go for myself. Mac Jakes managed to catch this chat. Hi again from Seattle. Thankfully, the show has been uploaded onto YouTube. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. I've not seen it on YouTube, but I guess it's out there. John Nutman, my favourite as a model shop is AC Models, if I may say, of course. Yeah, no worries. Always like to big up the local model shops. I shop a lot at Arcadia Models and Shawls, or Bolton Model Mart, big them up. Holton Model Centre, though, I believe that if they haven't already closed, they are closing at some point soon. So get yourself down there and hoover up some bargains. And seriously, he's got some great priced brand new stuff. But also 53A Models in Hull. I do try and get there whenever I'm in Hull and he's open. Durham Trains of Stanley. That's another one that I do go to from time to time. Millennium Models in Morley. I've been in there as well. Seems a great little shop. Pricing Hall Models, that's another one that I've been to a fair amount. So yeah, I do get around. There's a lot of good model shops out there, and do support your local model shop. Yeah, Robert Scott, isn't all judging subjective? It is, but you can judge to an objective criteria, and I think that's where the stumbling block has been. And maybe what they need is a judging panel. So on the actual, still have the Kathy and Steve of the show, and they're kind of the commentary judges, the informed commentary. But on the actual day, maybe put out an invite, have the editor of BRM, the editor of Model Rail, Simon Kohler, the guy from the NRM. Oh, what's his name? I want to say Norman Lovett. It's not Norman Lovett. He's a comedian who played Holly in Red Dwarf. But you know what I mean? Basically, draw a panel of these different people. Maybe, get an engineer on the panel who can appreciate the actual nitty-gritty of the engineering. That kind of thing. Yeah, maybe Paul Tyre, PD Models. I'm sure he'd be good on a panel like that as well. And I think maybe that would make it a fairer judging, a more objective judging. I don't know. I mean, that's one of the suggestions I'm going to suggest. Whether may or may not take it on board. Mark Jakes, enjoying the layout updates. Lots of ideas for my own once I get some time and space to get it going. Oh, thank you very much. I'm hoping that one of the things that I'm trying to do with a lot of the update videos is, it's just jumped again, is actually trying to show ideas and also how easy a lot of things can be if you just give yourself the confidence to do it. So hopefully that does come across. D827 Kelly, baseboards seem to be a common stumbling block for people having watched the GMRC, according to a couple of shops I know. Yeah, and you can buy ready-made baseboards. I forget the name of the company, but the baseboards themselves were supplied by a company. There are a few companies out there if that really is a major stumbling block, you can just buy them. And if you really don't want to build your own baseboard, there is nothing wrong with just buying them, or paying somebody else to do it if you know somebody who's good with woodworking maybe. Or you can reappropriate some fairly sturdy old tables, things like that. There's ways and means. But at the end of the day, I think what a lot of people should take away from GMRC is that confidence is probably the biggest thing. You can do it. You've just got to let yourself try. And in all walks of life, a lot of people go, I'm never going to be able to do that. So they don't even try because they just assume they can't do it. And actually, everybody can do it. You've just got to tell yourself, I can do this. And, the more you do, the more you build up that confidence. It's, same with everything, car mechanicery. I just, my Yorkshire blood revved up and went, I'm not paying somebody to fix this car. So I forced myself to do things that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with the idea of doing, and then found actually I could do it. D827 Kelly, I have a schools in BR Black. BR Black, they do actually look quite nice in the lined BR Black, it has to be said, but mine's my southern ones are both in the olive green. 57305 Northern Princess, I've just uploaded a model railway video to my channel with running at Worley Model Railway Clubroom. Excellent. I've never actually been to Worley Model Railway Club, but I guess it must be fairly impressive. They put on a good spread at the exhibition, so I'm actually quite curious. At some point, maybe somebody will invite me down and to visit and maybe do a talk or something. I don't know. I could talk for England. D827 Kelly, great US model railroad competition. Yeah, I think that the format definitely has legs and would work overseas. My guess is that actually it would work quite well in the US. Maybe combine that with Canada, but also Australia I think it would work in as well. Yeah, Brockwell then, I'd definitely watch an American version of GMRC. John Nutman, so want to go to Ali Pali next year. I must admit, this last one just gone was the first time I'd ever been. D827 Kelly, I can see it being much bigger in scope as it doesn't seem to have as much stigma as over here. I think a lot of the stigma is being dispelled. Otis JB, but I thought you were a Canadian rail fan. Mark Jakes, yes, I can confirm as I get to see the show here in the USA. Oh, grand, I'm glad it's getting out there. Leslie Gilpin, I suspect several influencing models in the USA have considered a show. Their problem is getting a TV channel to pick it up. USA Television is notorious for badly irritating UK TV shows. I suspect that KBG, who own the format, you've got to be careful, you can't just copy people's formats. They will already be on the case. If there's a market for selling it abroad, they're way ahead of you. 120, only viewable outside UK. We'll see about that. Yeah, VPN, spoof your IP. It can be done. Robert Scott, I'd do it for nothing. Do what for nothing? I don't know, do you dust shelves for nothing? D87 Kelly, £1,000. 4 locos with sound. That is a good point. It doesn't go as far as you'd think. Ian Ryan, I'm watching this on YouTube. Yeah, well, this is a YouTube live stream. Andrew Whiteman, transport models in Preston is very good. Yes, I have been there quite a bit. I do go to Preston quite a bit. So yeah, she goes on eBay by the name of Kit Lady. New Mills Model Railway, Chasewater Railway have a very good model railway shop. Yeah, and so do the East Lancs Railway. In fact, East Lancs Railway, there's several. Oh, Leslie Dickinson, Holton Models has shut now and the place is up for sale. Oh, that is a shame. Oh, Going Loco in oh, sorry, I thought Whitefield. Yeah, there's one in Whitefield as well. But all right, grand. It's good to get the names of some of these shops out there because, you know, there are a lot of model shops and they do need your support. So it's good to name check your local model shop. If you're happy with your local model shop, I'm happy for you to name check them here. D87 Kelly, bit devoid of good ones near me that are within a quick drive. Yeah, sometimes what you find is there's actually a lot more model shops maybe than you think, but some of them don't have an internet presence. They're quite hard to find unless you know about them. They can kind of be really hidden. So it's always good to get the info out there. I mean, I never knew about Millennium Models in Morley, and I just stumbled across it. Brockwell Lane. This new angle has attracted record number of people watching. Oh, I'm really glad. Hello to you. If you're a new viewer to this, hello to you. It's really great to have you along. Feel free to comment, ask questions. Perfectly fine. Always happy to hear from you. But the same token, don't worry if you just want to kick back and listen to the conversation. That's grand. I do that as well, actually. I tend to listen to conversations that go on live streams rather than get involved. So, yeah, always great to have you all along. Let's have a look. Robert Scott, my nearest model shop is about 12 miles away, but hideously expensive. Yeah, some of them don't help themselves, charging full RRP and then some. Mark McClellan, does anybody remember Model World from the 70s? I used to love that. Yeah, Bob Symes. I never watched it, but I heard a lot about it. Larry Turner, what is the difference in the glues you use? Different glues are used for different jobs, for bonding different things. I use super glue in 2 different varieties, quite a lot. I use Loctite, very like watery super glue, which is great for sticking detail back on. But then I also use deluxe materials, so it's almost like a gel-like super glue, which is much more forgiving with gaps and stuff. I use that a lot to stick stuff to the terrain. I use PVA by the gallon. Your PVA is probably the most versatile. You know, I dilute it down to do things. J-cloths and PVA. Where's Mr. J-cloth? It was a really good advice of that. And PVA, buy it from somewhere like Hobbycraft for a tenner for a 5 litre, or is it? No, the Range. That's where I got mine from. It's dirt cheap, really is cheap, and it's very versatile. Other glues that I use, Boss Stick as well is actually a good old favourite, and then of course, you know, model cement too. D87 Kelly, possibly white rose baseboards to makes good laser cut baseboard kits. That's another way to do it. Buy a laser cut kit and then put it together yourself, a bit like an IKEA flat pack. Robert Scott, I bought the book that went with Model World. It's still knocking around somewhere. Yeah, they did a lot of tie-in stuff. Actually, I could, well, I suppose Pico have done the tie-in book for GMRC. It was like a magazine, or what do they call it, a bookazine or something. But yeah, I could see an actual after series book which has a lot more of the photographs that were taken and it could show a lot more with articles about how things were constructed. I could see there actually being a market for that. Maybe that's something else I'll suggest to KBG as a good tie-in. Richie War Department 1915. Anyone know what the update on the double O gauge large Prairie and 43XX moguls? I think they're fairly close, but I don't know when they're due to come out. Dennis Fisher UK, hi to you. First visit here. Always good to see new people to the channel. Always more than welcome. It's great to have you along. First visit here. I'm using 1000mm by 600mm tabletops as baseboards, lightweight and ridged. Yeah, don't overlook cheap tables. One thing I would say is be careful with things like wallpaper pasting tables because they can sag a lot. You can brace them quite readily, but yeah, don't overlook cheap sorts of tables. There's a lot of charity shops even that do like cheap second-hand tables. You can give them a new lease of life as the basis for your model railway. So it is also really quite a good way of doing it. Ian Ryan, has anyone been to Beamish? It's amazing. Yeah, I've been to Beamish a lot when I lived up in Durham. I've not been probably for 20 years. Canadian Rail fan, on the final on GMRC gets very interesting. All I'm saying, ooh, dangling the string, can get you candy. Watch on Saturday, GMRC, the final is grand. Even if I say so myself, I am in it. Look out for me. D827 Kelly, there was a Discovery model railway show a few years back, a bit corny in places due to the presenter, but the modelling and modellers they visited was good. I'm not familiar with that one. Was that a UK thing? Leslie Gilpin, I bit the bullet and was influenced by a certain Grove Street Yard series of videos. Oh, well, I'm really glad that my videos were inspiring. I try to do those to give you a lot of the nitty gritty about things like baseboard construction, electrics, track plan design and stuff. But I'm really pleased. I look forward to seeing your take on the small shunting layouts. If that's what it is you're building from that. So yeah, visit to a local builder supplies and for a price of sheet of ply got a base. Yeah, one sheet of plywood is all that it needed to go into that. You just very carefully cut it so that this tessellating pattern. But yeah, you don't need a lot of space to build a nice little model railway. D82 also Canadian rail fan Mark Gates. I'm half British. I like North American and British trains. Now, answering a comment a little while ago. McBenman1, how is Silver Lady? She is well. Living in a display cabinet in Roundhouse Engineering in their showroom most of the time. She does get out for shows. She did the Peterborough Garden Model Railway show of late and is also slated for doing a build for a world record fundraiser on the top of Ben Nevis of all places. So yeah, Silver Lady does still exist. She belongs to Roundhouse Engineering, the manufacturers. Linnet 12DD, Model World Sittingbourne is good, very helpful staff, excellent. Brockwell Lane, I'll plug WD Models in Chesterfield, very good shop. Excellent, it's really good to hear that there's a lot of these model shops still out there. So it's good to know about them because quite often sometimes it can be quite hard to know about the existence of some of these models. The Growler Blackwood N-Gauge layout, only one model shop left in Glasgow. That's sad to hear, actually. It's quite a large urban conurbation. I'm hoping that GMRC kind of turns the tide, that the market will increase, and maybe we'll start to see a resurgence of the local model shop. I mean, that'd be really good, I think. Canadian Rail fan, Jenny, how long till live streams in the Loft? Possibly next week, now that we've worked out how to use the iPhone to do this. Philip Page, used to be a good shop on Halliwell Road near the top. I remember it well, actually. Yeah, near the, used to be a boat chandler's up there as well for buying bits for your sailing dinghies. Both of them, unfortunately, long gone. D87 Kelly, some are more focused on modelled kits with railways as a token gesture. Antics in Coventry has always felt like that. I know what you mean. I mean, Bolton Model Mart is focused a lot more on radio controlled models and airfix kits, but you know, they do have the model railway stuff in there. Otis JB, I thought I'd just mention pastel chalk for anyone who wants to weather locos and doesn't have an airbrush. Yeah, that's how Les does it as well. It's cheap and easy and looks really good. I would argue it gives you more control than an airbrush. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think airbrushes, they have their place, but can be a little bit overrated at times. Alan Reynolds, boom! PVA J-cloth Alan. See, I remembered you. It was a really good tip. And anybody who isn't aware of that tip, what Alan suggested was, rather than using plaster bandage, get your cheap pound shop J-cloths, you know, that sort of blue and white check cloths. You soak them in PVA glue, which you can get quite cheaply from somewhere like the Range, and then you use that like you would use the plaster bandage. It takes longer to set, but it's actually a really cheap and easy way of doing the terrain. So it's a good tip, that, and I'm really pleased that you let me tell everybody about it. D87 Kelly, I suspect Pico wouldn't be happy if KPG produced their own book or book a zine without them. No, it would have to be in conjunction with Pico, I guess. Leslie Dickinson, Bolton Toy Fair at the Unibowl Stadium. Is that basically what used to be the Reebok at up at Horwich? It's like renamed every other week. It's worth a visit. The next one is 3rd of November. Why don't they just call it Burnden Park and have done with it? D827 Kelly, grand final between Series 1 and 2 could work. Yeah, it could do, yeah. Robert Scott, I was referring to judging overseas. Ah, right. Larry Turner, thank you. You're absolutely welcome. D827 Kelly, or if a 3rd series got made. I think there's a good chance of a 3rd series, but we'll wait and see what the ratings were like for this series. Mark Samways, hey, young Jenny. Young? Oh, I love being called young. Baseboards, what thoughts on ceiling mounted drop down layouts and hinged from the wall similar to beds? Really looking for advice. I've seen both work quite well. If you hinge them if you have them on like a pulley system from the roof, you have to have a system whereby it will lower it level. What you don't want is just like tip to one side. That can be quite tricky to set up. There are companies that sell kits for doing that. It can be done. What is probably more accessible for the average DIYer is ones that hinge off the walls. And it's ones that my dad's done this twice. Once a long time ago for my model railway, and more recently for his Hornby 00. And that works really well. You hinge it off the wall, and then you just want a pair of hinge down and lock in place legs to then hold it. And it's really good for a bedroom where you can hinge it down, have the layout out, play with it, and then hinge it back when not in use. And a good tip for you is glue cork or something to the underside, so when it's up it becomes a notice board, because you can then put pins in. So thinking on that. So yeah, my personal preference would be hinged off the wall. I've lost my place now. The Growler Blackwood Engage layout, the show was presented by Mark Found and was following him building a garden railway at his house. Interesting. Was that on UK TV? Because I'm not familiar with that. James Petts, London now has very few model shops. It's the same with record shops as well. London has effectively priced itself out of the market for a lot of type of shops. D827 Kelly, they were building a layout in a warehouse room on the Bluebell, is the one I was thinking about, called Model Town. I have it. That was on YouTube. What happened with that? Did it actually complete, or did it fizzle out? Ham Shackleton, watch the weight. Yeah, very much. Not just the boards, but when you add decorations, the weight rockets up. Certainly with the scenery as well. You've got to remember it all has weight. If you're hinging off the wall, also remember the clearance. If you've got vertical height with scenery and stuff that's permanently attached to that board, you need to distance it out from the wall where it hinges. So all things you've got to think about. But if you have it pulleys from the ceiling, just bear in mind, a lot of ceilings aren't designed to take a great deal of weight. You'd have to secure it to the beams. And if you're in an upstairs room, just bear in mind, especially with modern houses, the actual ceiling beams that are up there aren't designed to take a great deal of weight. They're simply there to brace the roof struts, which again are only enough there to hold the weight of the roof itself. They're not designed to be load bearing. And you can end up actually have them pull out, and you don't want to be under that if it falls. So think very carefully about what you're securing these things to. In an older house like this, you might get lucky, like I did, and have some fairly substantial timber work. They don't build them like they used to. But certainly these are all things that you need to think carefully about. And it's very easy to kind of get carried away in the build and add more and more and more weight and make things quite unwieldy. Jess L, hi, new here. Welcome along. It's always good to have newbies and oldies alike, and it's, you know, I'm always very honoured that people have chosen to spend their Monday night here with the Jenny Monday Club. Oh, I've just seen Angus's Trains. Hi there to you. It's always great to have you along. How's it going? Because I know in Australia, it's the time difference is such. I think it's about 5 in the morning, something like that, just after 5 in the morning, which is a bit early for me. I don't get up at 5. It has to be said. John Linton, hello. I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida, USA, and enjoy watching YouTube videos from Europe. It's always great to have you along. And there's some great stuff as well. I watch a lot of the American stuff because I think when you look at how people build stuff in other countries, quite often there's things which are like common method X country may not be the way they do it and Y. And I've got a lot of inspiration by watching what American modelers do in particular. Really, really impressed with some. And you know, you've got to remember that's where Woodland Scenics comes from. So I think there's a lot of inspiration to be had from seeing how people model in other countries. Stuart Muir, hi Jenny, if you're in the Coventry area, Classic Trains and Motorbus in Leamington Spa is my local model shop. There used to be, was it Mad About Trains or something, used to be around that area. Jennifer Cady, any good model shop, rail shops in Essex? We lost loads. I'm not familiar, but I'm sure somebody here, if they know about them, will let us know. John Nutman, I'm still working on my dad's layout. I'm also going to make part of it go out and about, but at both DCC and DC. Yeah, Berry 120, retail space in London. They've priced a lot of things out of the market. It's not just model shops. Logan Clary, I use clear PVA glue as water. I get that from the range. Works very well. Yeah, my PVA I get from the range. It's a really inexpensive source. It's good quality stuff. You can't go wrong with it. And there's ways and means to make water out of PVA. You can get a good ripple effect if when just as it's starting to sort of solidify and get a skin, if you use a hairdryer and blow the ripples into it in one direction, you get like this ripple effect. Do experiment on somewhere off your model, just, you know, to see how the idea comes along. But there's lots of ways and means. Varnish is good for doing water, and also some of the resin stuff. I did a review on the Deluxe Materials products, and that's really good as well. Oh, excuse me. Leslie Gilpin, UK Model Shop, essential for seeing when upcoming exhibitions are. Yeah, very much. UK Model Shop is a good site. Mark Samways, thanks, young Jenny. Oh, well, I like you. You call me young when I'm 40. The Growler Blackwood Engage layout. Mark Fan presented 2 shows, Train Spotting and the Garden Railway, both on Discovery. Of course, Train Spotting live. D87 Kelly, when I was a kid, my father built his layout folding from the wall and it was over my bed. I tend to forget it was there at times and banged my head. Angus's Trains, it's 7:07 a.m. in Australia. It's a bit later than I thought. For some reason I got it in my head it was like 5 a.m. Mark Sandwich, young Jenny, did your dad have a sprung mechanism? It wasn't sprung, but you could possibly do that in the same way that, you know, these sort of sofa beds all spring out. McBen Man 1, I had a model railway display. Just look up Bergen Model Yen Banner Mezen 2019, then skip to 709, then you will find me. Grand. Excellent. I'll take a look afterwards. I haven't got a browser open, so it's very difficult for me to check stuff at the moment with the way that we're doing it at the moment. Ham Shackleton, yeah, it's a good point. I know it probably seems like, but it's easy to forget. With a hinged layout, you have to take all the stock off every time too. Yeah, everybody does it once. Canadian Rail Fan just put down 200 trees on the Canadian layout. I was actually making some of the Woodland Scenics tree kits yesterday. It'll be part of not next week's, not this week's, but the week after's update video on Weir Yard in the Loft. I'm doing a lot, finally getting around to making the trees that I bought the tree kits at Ali Pally. That's how long I've had them in stock waiting to. Brockwell Lane, does anyone know if there's any good permanent garden railways model villages on public display in the UK? There's one, there's a YouTube video. It's something like Gauge 2 or gauge 3, and it runs around the gardens of a house. Oh, I'm kicking myself to try and remember what it's called, but it's massive. It's been there since the 1920s, constantly being updated and added to, but it is amazing. If you can find the video on YouTube of the cab ride all the way around it, it is amazing. You've got to go. I'm sure somebody will go, oh yeah, it's such and such garden railway. You know, when something's on the tip of your tongue, it's really annoying. Ian Ryan, why? Just out of interest, why is it called Weir Yard? Right, deep breath. It's inspired by Tyne Yard, but it's not an actual model of Tyne Yard, but it does draw a lot of its characteristics from the real Tyne Yard, as was in its heyday. There's a Tees Yard, obviously near the River Tees, Tyne Yard near the River Tyne, and I thought that if it's inspired by, but not exactly, I would call my layout Weir Yard, after the other major river in the area, the River Weir, that flows through Durham and out towards Sunderland. And that is why it's called Weir Yard. It's actually inspired by Tyne Yard. Angus's Trains, any news on T-shirts? That's one for Zoe. I shall summon the Zoe and we'll ask her. Let's see what happens. Jenny, you are young to me. I'm nearly 70. Oh, I know you're only as young as or as old as you feel. Hark, I hear the cupboard monkey.
Did you?
Yes, people were asking about T-shirts in the merchandise.
Okay.
How we're doing with the T-shirts?
I haven't had a chance to produce the designs yet, but they are on the schedule for this week.
Excellent. So Angus, watch this space. We'll try and get some T-shirts on there because we do need some more merchandise.
I'll probably put out a draft design on Wednesday.
Right, brilliant. So how are we going to do? What, the JK logo?
JK logo. The other one that I was thinking of is My Railway, My Rules.
Actually, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Make sure it's not copyrighted or anything.
The design won't be.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it will be. It'll be copyrighted to us.
Yeah, or maybe say like Jenny Monday Club, Proud and Sozzled or something. I don't know. We'll come up with some. Maybe we'll have a range of slogans.
Yeah.
Rather than just one. Yeah, it's being worked on, Angus. So watch this space. I will spurn the cupboard monkey into action.
I am not a cupboard monkey.
Yeah, right.
Is that what you banged on the floor for?
That is exactly what I banged on the floor. I told my audience, I said, look, I can summon somebody who can tell you all about the T-shirts. It worked, didn't it?
I thought there was a problem.
Right, let's have a look. D827 Kelly, Q, a class 29 going down the stairs after falling off and out the access hole, then bouncing off the bed underneath and down the stairs. Remarkably, it survived. Yeah, you only do that once. Trevor Sowerby, Jenny, have you got any news reviews coming up anytime soon? I love your reviews as they always help you decide whether to buy. Well, thank you very much. I do have some stuff coming from Hornby that they've asked me to review. So there's going to be some more. I'm trying to think what's on the to-do path. Oh, PD Models are sending me some items. They've just come on board sending me some stuff. They haven't sent me any stuff before, but I know Paul Tyre, who owns and is the proprietor of PD Models, is a great friend. Met him on BLR. He did GMRC last year. So I'm going to review that. And also I think it's Hardy's Models. Let's have a look. What's it? Oh yeah, Brockwell Lane. I'm not a cupboard monkey T-shirt. I like that actually. Yeah, maybe we'll have that. Canadian rail fan. I was rail fanning near Vancouver. When I say near, I mean 200. Yeah, distances are like relative. If you live in a big country, 200 miles is like next door. Anyway, got chatting to older rail fan in Canada. He was like, young people always think they are the best. He was just being rude. Ooh. West Blythe MPD. Hi Jenny, loved the HUO wagon weathering. Thank you very much. We were talking a little bit about that earlier on. It's quite a simple method, but really, really effective. Raphael Wellard. Hi Jenny, I loved you in the Rail Riders and the GMRC with the wiring and good things. Thanks, RAF from Portugal. Well, thank you very, very much. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. It was great fun to do that. Rail Riders work pretty well together as a team, and you know, as I can now reveal, we got all the way through to the final. Whether we win or not, you're going to have to watch on Saturday to find out. No spoilers, but it's an epic lineup. Rail Riders go head to head with Railmen of Kent, with Team Grantham, and Who's Counting Rivets. So, who will come out on top and get to lift the GMRC trophy high and proud? All four great builds, but you've got to see it to know, and even to know what people built. It's going to be grand. It's going to be grand. D827 Kelly, monkey costume for the Halloween episode. She does do some very good monkey sounds, I have to say. Mark McClellan, Harlington, just north of Heathrow Airport, has a garden-type railway. That's it, James Petts. Thank you very much. The Gauge 1 Garden Railway is Beaconsfield in Beaconsfield, England. Yeah, that's the one. Oh yeah, John Nutman as well is also typed out there as well, the name too. Look it up on YouTube. Not right now, keep watching this. But after the live stream, do a search. There's a video on YouTube and it is just amazing, that cab ride around that layout. D87 Kelly, he was glad it wasn't the new he'd bought the previous day previously. The 29 actually ran better. It was always stuttery before. I don't recommend it as a maintenance procedure. Yes, precision adjustment with the hammer of doom sometimes actually does the job. Let's have a look. West Blythe MPD would love to see heavy weathering on the WHUOs. I like them though. I'm really I'm not a natural weatherer. I did those because I was asked to weather them, so I did that partially to see if I could and partially as a favour, and it worked out really well. And I think what came across with that was that you don't have to be frightened of weathering, and you don't need to own expensive equipment. It was just two fairly cheap Humbrol from Hornby weathering washers, one in black dirt and the other one a rust wash. And actually you can do an awful lot with a small amount like that. Ian Ryan, Team Grantham will be tough. It's between you and them. You may think that. I couldn't possibly comment. You'll have to watch on Saturday. No spoilers. You're not going to trip me up, because there's somebody keeping an eye on me from Channel 5. Hello, person from Channel 5. Don't worry, I'm not going to spill the beans. Ham Shackleton, Richie, DC or DCC? I think there's a place for both, to be honest with you. But yeah, DCC. I just actually DCC fitted for the first time ever. I got my class 411 4-car EMU chips, and I'm so pleased that I have, because it will live in the fiddle yard underneath, but it will come out to play, and I don't have to keep taking it on and off the track, which is a major boon. And I'm actually quite pleased on DCC. There's two different lighting functions, the coach lights and also the direction lights as well. So it's nice to see models that use more than just the basic functions on DCC. J. Paul Anderson, sound is okay now. It may just be your connection. I don't think anybody. I think everybody else seems all right. So there are some issues sometimes with YouTube. It does go a bit stumbly at times. Yeah, Leslie Gilpin, I agree with you. I don't know why they've brought it forward so much. GMRC is on ridiculously early on Saturday. I honestly don't know why. You're a legend. Brockwell Lane. Hello, Channel 5 person. Call me. Now, I found out that they keep an eye on things like this just to make sure we don't spill the beans. And maybe just make sure we're not bad-mouthing them. Those people from Channel 5, the catering was rubbish. Actually, no, the catering on GMRC was the best catering of any programme that I've been involved in. And I've been involved in front and behind the camera with a lot. It was better catering even than Time Team had. Better catering than they had on set for filming The Collection down at Bay Studios in Swansea. better catering than they had filming Wolf Hall as well, I have to say. So GMRC, KBG, your catering is spot on. I actually put on a little bit of weight. It was so nice. Richie War Department, 1915. Oh, the basic control you get with your Backman sets. Right, yeah. A single controller comes with the Backman train sets. Yeah. John Nutman, I'm still after a sound chip for a Class 45. You and me both. I would love to see Hornby do a TTS one. I think the Hornby TTS chips are great value for money. But I don't know what else would be similar. Class 47, you could probably use that chip in a 46. People are going to shout at me now. Oh, no, you can't. Hey, I've put a Class 40 chip in a Class 25, and very few people actually noticed. Robert Scott, I've watched quite a few American YouTubers, but I find the presenters so overbearing and pompous. Not always. I think, in fairness, some of the channels I watch Tyler Hoover, aka on YouTube, Hoovy's Garage. I love his channel. And, you know, I'm not a massive petrol head, but he does make it very accessible. So that's a channel I love watching. Scotty Kilmer. Who doesn't love Scotty Kilmer? Very good for hints and tips about cars. And what he doesn't know about cars isn't worth knowing. Who else? There's some of the ones that Zoe watches I quite like watching as well, like the Angry Video Game Nerd. So there are some pretty good American YouTube channels. Leslie Gilpin. Last Saturday GMRC was up against Strictly. Oh, sorry, the screen's just gone blank again. Hold on. Perhaps they know what their target audience won't be watching. Right. Interesting. So maybe to avoid conflict with another program that they know is going to like nick a lot of their audience. Raphael Wellard. Bye, Jenny. See you next time on Saturday on TV. So see you, and thanks, RF from Portugal. Well, thank you very much. It's been great having you along, and it's always great to talk with new people on the channel. I know that, I mean, there's currently 101 people, but we had up to 125 at one point. So, you know, don't feel that you have to comment. It's perfectly fine to lurk. I do a lot of that online as well. Ian Ryan. Oh God, our last loves Wolf Hall. Oh, well, I was actually involved on the production of that. I worked for the lighting company at the time, so I was driving the lighting rig vans, the Jennies, things like that. So yeah, I was there. I didn't get any photographs because it was really tight security. But yeah, it's one that I worked on. J. Paul Anderson, haha, Hoovy's Garage, one of my favourites too. Yeah, he's just such a likeable chap. He's a full-on chap. Jay Leno's Garage can be interesting. Not one I've particularly watched. It just felt a little bit too overproduced. And, you know, call me a bit hipster, but I like my YouTube videos to be slightly more, you know, you don't want like these huge production values, and Jay Leno has kind of been in the business so long that it's too slick. You know, when things are too slick, I watch real TV for that. Flymo Chairman 1, do give a thumbs up though. Oh, of course, do give a thumbs up. Yeah, well said, Flymo Chairman. Lynette 12DD, I like Nostalgia Nerd. Yeah, that's another one that Zoe watches. D827 Kelly, I suspect Hornby won't produce a TTS chip unless they have a model for them to also sell it in. So what I would like to see from Hornby is a Class 25 TTS chip. They do have a model. I would also like to see, I think the other glaring omission is a Class 42 warship. Those are two which I really do want to see a TTS sound chip for. Leonard 12DD, Kim Justice makes good dogs. Yeah, I am aware of Kim Justice. I think Zoe's always feels a bit sore that she doesn't get the audience that Kim Justice does, but she quite often does similar style videos before they do. So, you know, check out Zoe, Game Hammer Classic Gaming. That's also a great channel. See what the Cupboard Monkey's up to. But I'm going to have to wrap this up, actually. I'm starting to flag, it has to be said. The booze. This live stream is brought to you by Strongbow Dark Fruits. Other alcoholic beverages are available. Robert Scott. Oh, sorry. Flymo Chairman 1. I stopped watching AVE taking a Glock apart when the stream started. Oh, the King of Random's pretty good as well. There was one like Will This Microwave. That was always a fun channel. I don't think they do it anymore. DH7 Kelly, bye for now. Ian Ryan, right, I started drinking early tonight. Pizza nights are off to my pit before I start a fight with everyone. Oh, I'm not like that. I'm just like, oh, I love you. Brockwell Lane, I am a cupboard monkey, bye. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up. And it's been great having you all on board. Don't forget to like the video, share it too, and look back through the channel. And we've got some great videos coming up. I've been out to Hattons today filming. We've done some stuff for their channel, which you're going to see going out on Friday. We've done a little piece of pre-record for their live stream. And also on the Saturday as well, they've got an excellent interview with myself and Les Cliff, team of rail riders, to go out straight after the episode is shown. So look out for that. It gives a lot of detail about the build and what went on. But obviously you've got to watch the programme first. And also, I've got my own post-GMRC final video that's going to spill a lot of the beans, show you a lot of the behind-the-scenes footage, excuse me, and I'll be able to reveal all because it's going to go out after the episode airs. There's an all-new update video on what's going on up on Weir Yard that's going out on Friday. And hopefully we've got coming on stream. Oh, we've got a full interview with Dave. Oh, is it Dave Myers? Dave Tyers at Hattons. Sorry, I'm really rubbish with names. But Dave at Hattons. I know there's quite a few Daves at Hattons, but the Dave at Hattons that I interviewed about Project Genesis, about the 4- and 6-wheel coaches. Look out for that. Oh no, that's the one. No, that's the one that's going out tomorrow. I get it. Oh, I'm too drunk. There's videos and they're just going, yeah. But also looking forward to being able to review some 3D printed and finished traction engines from PD Models. There's also going to be some figures coming through from, I think it's Hardy's Models. They're going to shout at me if I get that name wrong. And also I've got some items coming through from Hornby. Look out for those. I'm really looking forward to being able to review some of the bang up-to-date models, which are a retooling and improvement of an existing favourite in the range. So I wonder what that could be. But until then, you take really good care of yourself. And this is me, Johnny Kirk, saying bye for now. How do I stop this? The live stream has finished, but, you know, just talk amongst you. How do I actually stop it? I know how to stop it. Hark! Is there a cupboard monkey afoot? I don't know. There's no button to say that says stop, so I just pull the plug out. That's probably a good idea. Zoe,
What's happened?
how do I stop it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you finished?
I am finished.
Okay, bye guys.
See you later.